The Frontenac Hilton at 6:30. Go online to retirementkey.com. That's retirementkey.com.
We don't want you on our team. You're too slow and fat.
This is weight bias.
Don't you care how you look?
Those with the serious disease called obesity face weight bias every day.
You're not the right fit for this job.
And blame themselves.
I wish I was different.
Weight bias hurts.
Let's stop weight bias.
Be part of the solution.
Go to stopweightbias.com. A public service message from Obesity Action Coalition.
Let's support Heroes Care through comedy. Annie Fry here. Join Heroes Care at the Westport Funny Bone Sunday, March 23rd for stand-up from St. Louis's own Will O'Donnell. That's Sunday, March 23rd. Learn more at 971talk.com/events.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Mark Reardon.
The real truth is that Joe Biden has left us a dumpster fire.
Every time there is substantive stuff
Mark Reardon
to talk about in the world of politics, Donald Trump's name is the headline.
People decided to return Donald Trump to power.
In the first term, everybody was fighting me. In this term, everybody wants to be my friend.
This is the Mark Reardon Show.
All right, here we go for another Fish Fry Friday. We are at Assumption Parish in South County on Mattis Road. We would love to see you. They're going to start lining people up probably around 4 o'clock, but you're welcome to come out and watch us. We're right at the entrance of the parish here in South County. We're happy to be here. Sue Thomas, how are you?
I'm great. Thanks for asking.
We love our Fish Fry Fridays, and we will be without Jane this afternoon. That affords possibilities for the rest of the panel in getting more airtime. So we'll look at the positives here. But Sue, of course, will have a live Sue's News in the next hour. Paul Hall is going to talk about some movies. I can't wait to hear about Snow White because that's going to be a big bomb for Disney.
I would think.
And I'm excited about that bombing because of all the wokeness surrounding it. Cusumano will not be in Wichita this afternoon, Sue, and we're going to start on that. But let's introduce the panel for the roundtable this afternoon. Former State Senator John Lamping. I'll start with John, Donna. I apologize because this is your home parish from when you were a kid, right?
Yes, I grew up here and walked to school every day, and it's great to be back in the old stomping grounds.
Well, it's awesome to have you on the roundtable, especially since you live, 2 hours away from here, so you made it here. He's in.
My mom's still here. She's going to come
area.
up. I have this nice story. So my mom knew I was going to be on the show today. She goes, "I want to come up and meet everybody." I said, "We're going to meet Mark." She goes, "No, I want to meet Sue." That's who I listen to all day.
Okay, that's really, I love that.
Can you blame her? Very consistent, Lampy. Donna Behringer is here, former state rep. She is hopefully the next city comptroller in St. Louis. How are you, Donna?
I'm great, and I want to note this is my second fish fry today.
Wow, you're at one today?
Yes.
And you have a little intern with you today.
I
don't mean
do.
to say little. Sorry, he's 15.
No.
He's not exactly little, but that's kind of awesome, right?
Yes, Joey. I met Joey out on the campaign trail, and he asked to shadow me, and I said absolutely, and he's here today.
Well, Joey, if Donna's not making sense today, if I don't like what she's saying, you may pinch hit. So just keep that in mind. He's a current state rep, Steve Butts. How are you, Steve?
A little depressed after last night, Mark.
Yeah, well, let's start there. Okay, I just got to get this
There's
off
an
my
Illinois
chest.
kid right here.
Well, and you know what? I've said that the Illini are still a very dangerous team. I made my prediction on Monday, and I said, and this was because I was tired of hearing the upset talk, and I said, look, Mizzou's in the upper echelon of the SEC. They're facing an MVC team. We should win this game by double digits. We were awful. It was just terrible. And look, I've lived around this program through Xavier and Northern Iowa and Norfolk State, and we just take a dump in the first round so often. But I don't know what happened to him, Steve. You were at a couple of games. They look completely like a different team. And by the way, if we're being honest here, my prediction was stupid for a couple of reasons. One, the writing was on the wall. The team lost 4 of 6 games to wrap up the season.
We got cold at the wrong time.
Yeah, that's not typically a team that does well in the NCAA tournament. But look, I guess we can look at the positives. Dennis Gates turned a program around from 0-18 from last year. But Lampy, you get so close and I get so emotionally involved, right?
I could tell by the tone of your voice this week. You were so nervous, and
I'm
not saying you jinxed the team or anything, but there wasn't a lot of positive chi coming through the
I turned the game
wire.
off. I turned it off, and then all of a sudden I'm watching something, and on my Apple TV sometimes it tells you if a game is close, and it said Drake and Mizzou are close. I'm like, wait, is that possible? Well, they were within 2 points at that point.
They came
and
back.
then I think they got it within 1. And then and all credit to Drake and their coach and Bennett Sturtz, who's going to the NBA, because He was impressive, and I think we knew that. So I eat my words, and I give respect to the Drake Bulldogs because they deserve it today.
They do, but how about that over-under? I mean, I would have lost a fortune if you'd say, are they going to hold Mizzou to less than 60 points and out-rebound them? And just all about, they just out-hustled them. Drake's a for-real team, but Mizzou played poorly, and we chose a bad time of year to get cold, and that's what happened.
The SEC is, what are they, Ethan, now 4-3? KU lost to Arkansas today. They're 4-4 in this tournament. So obviously,
I watched
some
that game
SEC
too.
Teams alive. but
Arkansas
not
is
all.
the real deal, and anytime Kansas loses, that's a good night. So with that and the Blues winning in overtime, it wasn't a complete loss last
Well,
night.
Steve has his Blues hat on. The Blues are hot right now. Scotty Warman's going to join us in the 5 o'clock hour. That's exciting. They increased their percentage chances certainly to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
They are on fire. That's a lot of fun for St. Louis, especially with a team that, we certainly, I think 2 months ago, didn't think was going to make the playoffs at all, and especially with nothing at the trade deadline. All right, let's get started here on the Roundtable. We're going to be here for a few hours. We would love to see you this afternoon at Assumption. We're going to be at Queen of All Saints in South County next week, so a little consistency here in this part of St. Louis. But let me start with just something joyous this afternoon, because as depressed as I am about the University of Missouri basketball team, the fact that the husband of Corey Bush has been indicted on 2 counts of wire fraud related to COVID relief programs, John Lamping, just puts a smile on my face. Is that wrong?
Well, you don't want to take delight in somebody else's
But I do,
harm.
John. But I kind of do.
Yeah, no, well, I have to tell you that PPP program, that was the program that he used to, it's ripe with fraud. It's, the fact that he's one of the first ones is to come out. I mean, that was an incredible $300 billion was wasted, I think, most of it. But no, it seems like that whole crew that dominated the St. Louis political scene for the better part of 4 or 5 years is really starting to fall by the wayside. And the last one standing is Tashara Jones, and she's got about 2 weeks from Tuesday?
2.5 weeks?
We'll talk about that. But this is Courtney Merritt's 46 allegedly filed fraudulent applications in 2020-21 that allowed him to collect more than $20,000 in government funds. Now, there's a second favorite part of this story. Crazy Ed Martin is the one who's prosecuting him, so I love that. Ed Martin is from St. Louis. He's a U.S. attorney.
He used to be my neighbor in St. Louis Hills.
Yeah, well, I like Ed, but he's kind of crazy. But now he has this position, and I support him in this particular
most
role.
Definitely.
It's funny, John, you sent me something. Don, I want you to weigh in on this, but obviously a lot of this does kind of play into what's happening in the city right now, and I think a lot of voters are tired of it. But you sent me a tweet that had a headline from the Post-Dispatch. I'll share it with the audience. Donna, you remember this. It said, "A wave of black girl magic," right? A wave of black girl magic. And this is from, Thursday, the 6th of August in 2020. And you got Corey Bush and Kim Gardner, and Tish is on the cover of the paper. And when I see a wave of black girl magic now, I say, to quote Lady Gaga, abracadabra, you're all gone, or you're almost gone. So that puts a smile on my face too, Steve. Abracadabra.
Well, I see that you're happy about that, but I'll just say, when we have poor and incompetent leadership at any level, but especially in the city of St. Louis, we've got so much potential, yet every time we take a step forward, we take 2 back. I'm glad for this whole chapter of the past 4, 5, 6, 7 years. I guess the era of the progressives is waning, and it can't come soon enough.
Well, how would you, Don, I want to talk about your race a little bit too and what you're feeling, but Kara's still a progressive in the mayor's race. So is there going to be Steve, is she not a progressive? I thought she was a progressive. Is that an unfair label?
Okay, if Kara is progressive, certainly more progressive than I, but she's got some experience.
Sure.
She's got an education level
not crazy.
behind her. And you know what? She's proud to be from the city of St. Louis, and she puts a great spin on the city. I think she's going to be a great salesman for the city.
Well, what I've said, too, is I've mentioned this a couple of times. She was on the Roundtable, I think, only one time. And she was awful. And you know why? It wasn't because of her. It's because she's so hyper-focused on St. Louis. She didn't know the national issues, so it was a little tough. Yeah. So I'm not criticizing her. I'm saying maybe that's a good thing, right? She's a little policy wonky. She wants to solve problems. We do have good developments and other things that are coming around the city, but change is needed, Donna. And are you feeling that from knocking on doors in your race right now, that that's consistent with what you felt here a month ago?
It's very consistent, and I've been all over the city. So people say, oh, you're from the south side. I said, yeah, but I started in September on the north side. And everybody wants to be able to talk to their elected officials. They want their elected officials to listen to them and what they think and how they feel. And I feel that they stopped listening to the people. And now the people are saying, you didn't listen to us, and we're going to go with the people who will listen to us.
Yeah, and I don't think that notion is being challenged. I mean, there's no expectation that she's making up ground here to Shar in this. And this is a week from Tuesday, isn't it?
Well,
2 weeks.
No,
2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
It's
Because
the
early
8th.
voting
Oh, 2
starts
weeks
March
from,
25th.
2 weeks from this Tuesday. Okay.
Correct. It's April
I'm not
8th
good
is
at
the
math
election.
when it comes to the calendar.
But we encourage people to vote early. You can start voting March 25th, and then the last day to vote is April 8th.
Steve, are you out there campaigning?
I'm not,
for
Mark.
Kara? Are
You know, I'm-
well, no,
am
for
I?
Kara and
Yes,
doing
I
stuff.
am. Most
So
certainly.
what are you
I'm
hearing
trying-
out there?
So I would say I've been to a half a dozen events at least, and I've watched the last 2 debates. I was at the Dogtown Parade with Donna, driving the Donna Behringer car on Monday this week. And you know, I thought it was shocking. This beautiful day, the governor was there. Everybody was there, right? Little kids, and it was just a wonderful parade. And the mayor's car was just 2 vehicles behind mine. And I didn't even honestly know that the mayor was in the vehicle. I mean, I knew she was coming, but to not even get out of the vehicle while we're all celebrating a day of joy and fun, I'm like, it just shows you there's this vibe that I don't believe she likes the job anymore.
And I've never ridden in a car in a parade. I always walk.
I drove, but she walked every second.
I always
that's what you
walk,
do.
and I like to be in front of Joe Barabaglia's fire truck that has the loud music, because I'll dance to the parade as well.
Look, I mean, her campaign is dead man walking. You know, it just is.
She knows that, though, right?
She knows
I've
it.
said that
Yeah.
before. You would think.
And her body language shows that. If you watch the debates, I mean, it's a little strange to me, but
Yeah,
Strange from what
need to change
perspective?
this.
That there's some desperation there, or that
No.
there's not engagement? That she seems like she's already resigned to the fact that
the
it's
latter.
over?
The latter.
Yeah, I mean, you lose 2-1 in the prime.
Right.
Like, we need to change the system. I mean, she shouldn't even be a candidate after having lost 2-1.
Now,
Like,
last night there was a forum at Sherman Park, and they were all there and all in for Tashara. So it was a huge Tashara turnout in Sherman Park last night. Just for the record, so you all know, the entire
Yeah, I
city.
mean, you still have to go out and vote, right? So there,
Right.
you don't want to take anything
Oh
for
yeah,
granted.
no, the mayor has support. There's no doubt, but I don't think she can close the gap that
Oh,
exists.
I don't either. The gap is there, and it's not going away. It's not going away.
Donna Behringer's on the panel. State Rep C. Butts, former State Senator John Lamping. We're live for Fish Fry Fridays at Assumption Parish in South County. Would love to see you this afternoon. We're going to be here until 6. This was a big story today. John, I'll get your reaction. We'll kind of go around here before we get to some national issues. Boeing's going to build the next generation fighter jet here, and it's going to be the well, of course, we make the F-18 and F-15. This is
F-47
going to be
for
the
Trump.
F-47. The nation's next-gen fighter. Obviously, DOGE is cutting back in many areas of the government. Defense is still a constitutional responsibility, and this is a big contract for St. Louis.
Well, it's a big win for St. Louis. Big win for St. Charles County, quite frankly. A lot of people that work for Boeing live in St. Charles County, and you can be against government being too big, but their government's going to do certain things. And you can certainly celebrate the fact that St. Louis really depends on Boeing. Boeing's the 4th largest employer in the metro area. And they actually had just laid people off back in January. They've had a lot of issues on the commercial side, and some of the older programs were winding down. So the fact that this was announced today is good news for Missouri and good news for the St. Louis area.
Plus, I think Boeing needs this good news just as a brand. If you consider the commercial airline problems, and it just seems like, holy cow. There's getting to be people, if you fly on certain airlines, they're like, is this a Boeing plane? I'm like, that's not good. And then with the whole space rescue thing, that was a Boeing capsule that couldn't get back safely.
Mm-hmm.
So Boeing needs a win. I agree with John. They're critical. Lots of jobs, and let's hope this is a
Good paying
success.
jobs, too.
Yeah, Senator Schmidt, and actually it's one of those days where a lot of people have come together to praise the announcement. Even King Page in St. Louis County, Eric Schmidt, said the F-47 next generation fighter that will dominate the skies and protect America will be built in St. Louis. Sam Page said this is the county is an enthusiastic partner to Boeing. This will be an incredible boost to the region's economy. Hey, there's at least something that I can agree with Sam Page on. That's very rare.
Yeah, Sam really made a good point there. One.
Yeah, one. All right, we're going to take a break. We're out here live for Fish Fry Fridays. We'll get to some national issues, including all the domestic terrorism that's being leveraged against Tesla. We're live at Assumption Paris. Come see us this afternoon. Fish Fry Fridays on The Mark Reardon Show.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
I'll tell you what, it's not a bad commute tonight. Now, if you have just headed out, things look okay. We've got kind of the usual volume. So if you are eastbound on 70, there is a little bit of volume headed toward Wright City to east of Forestell out there, but it's not terrible. Westbound 70 out of downtown actually looks good. A little bit of volume at Highway K and then Highway A out through Wentzville. 6440 hasn't lined up yet. There's just moderate volume at Hampton. And then again out west, that's mainly from Highway N out through the 70 split. Southbound 170 slowing a little bit at 6440. Southbound 270, some volume headed down toward 55. And we have some volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. Eastbound, some moderate volume, but it's just not that bad. Now, we did have an accident reported northbound Lindbergh at Plaza Frontenac. So if you happen to be over there, just take care. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. It's 3:22 at 97.1 FM Talk.
Thank you, Sue. We are live here for Fish Fry Fridays. The panel is going to enjoy a couple of minutes off. We're back here in a second. I have checked out Game Day Men's Health in Chesterfield. Matt Lawrence has a great team out there. He's made the office world-class, comfortable, and your first visit is free. So all you have to do is make an appointment. The office that I went to is at 6440 and Clarkson, but they have locations in O'Fallon, Missouri, and in Glen Carbon, Illinois. And the website is great, too, GameDayMen'sHealth.com. If you're looking for issues related or solutions to issues related to brain fog, poor sleep, you have decreased libido, all of these things can be addressed with a very specific plan from Game Day Men's Health. There's no one-size-fits-all. Matt and his team will take great care of you. It's a free test to go into the office. They'll give you a customized treatment plan, and the pricing is super simple as well. So if you haven't checked out Game Day Men's Health, there's a difference, and you should check them out. GameDayMen'sHealth.com. Get back to the top of your game with Game Day Men's Health.
Ever feel like there aren't enough hours in the day? If you get busy or miss your favorite show, don't worry. With Rewind, available exclusively on the free Odyssey app, you can stream your favorite shows on demand. You know your day is better with us. Get the news that matters to you from the local voices you trust. No matter what you're up to, give it a try. To get started, download the free Odyssey app and search for your station. That's AUDACY.
Farming's hard. To feed the world, farmers have to work the land, brave the elements, and fight the battle against weeds. Weeds reduce crop yields, so prices go up and everybody gets less to eat. But 50 years ago, farmers got a new tool to fight weeds, glyphosate. It kills weeds while protecting the harvest. Time and again, it has been approved by the EPA and by leading regulatory bodies around the world. It helps enable practices that reduce erosion and keep soil healthy, which is good for the earth. Farming's hard, but it's a little easier with glyphosate. Learn more at go.bayer.com/glyphosate. Paid for by Bayer.
If you're trying to sell a home, there's only one agent in town that I trust, Mark and Neil Gelman of eXp Realty. My friends Mark and Neil have the best system to connect you to the best qualified buyers, getting your home sold fast and for top dollar. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
97.1 FM Talk is proudly supporting the Guns N' Hoses Queen of Hearts raffle, benefiting the St. Louis Backstoppers. Learn more at stlgunsandhoses.com and listen to the Mark Cox Morning Show Fridays at 8:20 for winner announcements.
All right, welcome back. We are at Fish Fry Friday, and we're at Assumption Parish in South County on Mattis Road. We would love to see it. This is very easy to get to. Lamping, you said you grew up around here. All you got to do is take 270 to Tesson Ferry, take a left on Mattis, keep going down. You'll find us. You'll see the signs. And they have, I've heard the operation is really impressive out here. All these fish fries are really impressive. I mean, everyone has their own unique stamp, you know, the different parishes. Steve, you know, you have St. Stephen's in South City, which is awesome. We've been there before. But I'm told that the drive-through operation here is really impressive. And we're right off the parking lot. And we'll give you a little bit more detail from Assumption right after 4 o'clock before Sue's News. Sue is out here live. She would love to see you and say hi. Plus, I got cookies. I've handed out a couple of cookies here
Have
this
you?
afternoon.
I was going to ask you.
They're
I
right
saw
back
them
here,
back
Sue.
there.
They're back here. So we've been able to break some St. Louis
Super
County
quick.
health laws.
Do yourself a favor in these fish fries. Get to St. Cecilia's because it's a unique Hispanic Mexican tortilla. It's very different.
That-
You'll love
it's
it.
By the way, that
delicious.
Love
sounds
it.
great.
I
Sue,
worked there.
Remember that one for next year.
Yes, it's awesome.
So the schedule's kind of full for this year, but we'll remember next year. Steve Butts, you're a Democrat, aren't you?
I am.
Donna's
thank
a Democrat. Where the heck are the Democrats criticizing domestic terrorism that is taking place at Tesla dealerships with people who just own Teslas? You know, Jimmy Kimmel was fanning the flames on this a couple of nights ago. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know, hey, don't vandalize Teslas, basically telling people to do it. What sense does this make? I don't know. What would you actually try to achieve by burning a Tesla, painting a Tesla, going up to... I've video this morning from a guy that went up to someone last night, could have been 2 nights ago, and just starts screaming at them through the window about them being a Nazi.
Okay, that's all weird. I would say,
It is
weird. Hey, if you are defacing a Tesla and it's not your Tesla, I take it. You know, I mean that's a major crime. Do I think it's some sort of organized domestic terrorism? I guess I don't. It's just a bunch of very pissed off people with Elon Musk and what he's doing and feeling he's an unelected czar, but to do the property damage.
Yeah.
I'm like, I guess Democrats, the ones that are in office, they're busy prosecuting the crimes of those that are arrested.
Yeah, and I don't believe in doing that to property. But the other thing is that what is being put out into the air, the quality of the air when you're burning something like that, it can't be good. So that's
none
the
of
other
it's
thing.
good. But what the issue is, and you guys, you're not crazy Democrats, I know that. You're on my show all the time. But the people that are reacting to this in Jimmy Kimmel's audience or at The Daily Show when they're mentioning this, these are people that are cheering it on. They're cheering on the violence because of Trump and Musk. And just logically, it makes no sense whatsoever.
I mean, I have heard some of the cheering. I listened to these last couple of days. I know this has been big on your mind, and I'm like, how many instances is this? And I tried to look it up, and it's not that many. I was behind a Tesla today. The person driving the Tesla had a, cancel Elon bumper sticker on her own Tesla.
Sure.
Oh my gosh!
Okay,
to
that's
save her,
fine.
to save her car.
That's fine. And,
Yeah.
Well, that might be to save the car.
to save
You're
the
right
car,
about that.
so somebody won't
but,
damage it.
to your point, there's a lot of people that own Teslas that aren't on my side of politics and Lamping's
Exactly.
side, so that's what makes it even weirder to do this.
They also pulled the Tesla car out of some car show. They're not having it is somewhere because of this. So I do know that. I did read about that.
Some of this is more complicated psychologically, and I addressed this issue earlier this week, and this is really nuts to me. But Olivia Reingold, who is one of the Free Press columnists with Barry Weiss over there at thefp.com, wrote a piece called Inside the Cult of Luigi Mangione. And she featured several people, and there was a Columbia grad, a cashier from Utah, an engineer at Lockheed Martin, that have all one thing in common. They think that this Luigi Mangione guy who took out the CEO of United Healthcare is a progressive American hero. They're looking at him as a hero, and they're defending it. They're saying this is bigger because of the American healthcare system. So I think there are challenges on the left right now because there's a lot of anger that's built up, and it's manifesting itself in violent ways. Everybody wants to criticize what happened on January 6th. I was an immense critic of January 6th, so much so that Senator Hawley won't even come on my show because I challenged him on that. But that was a terrible thing, and you guys agreed that was a terrible thing, but it's okay to do this and light Teslas on fire. John,
No,
that's
it's not.
well, you say that, but I don't know.
Well, Stephen Downey, your voices are welcome, and your type of the approach that you're as Democrats is very different than the progressive wing of your party, and the progressive wing of your party dominates the major media, and it draws a crowd, and. Like, for example, what's going on with the Teslas is the Tesla dealerships have been damaged around the country. And who's out on tour? It's AOC's out on tour. Bernie Sanders is out on tour. It's the progressive wing that can draw a crowd. Who leads for your party now? Who speaks for your party?
Who does? Who do you think?
You asked me this a couple weeks
Right,
ago.
but who did you
Gavin
say?
Newsom is the head of the party right now.
Seems to be, right?
He is.
Yeah.
He's the head of the party.
I think what's happened with the Democrats is that we were never violent or did anything like this before. So they said, well, if the extreme wing of the Republicans are going to do it, we should do it too. I think that's what it is. But then that goes back to the pure essence of just because they did it doesn't make it right.
Well, did you miss Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, Black Lives Matter. They burned a lot of buildings down.
Yeah, all
Let's
across
face
the
it.
country. I mean, like, Occupy
And that
Wall
was
Street. All
justified
those.
because of racial injustice.
Yeah,
it was all justified.
Antifa. I mean, look, the left wing of the party, your party, has been out burning stuff down for 10 years.
Were you on the board of Alderman with Antonio French?
Yes, I
Okay,
was.
so there's a guy that gaslit and helped St. Louis be destructed because right out of the gate, he came on my show and came on. He justified the violence and burning down of the QT because it was for the cause. And the Post-Dispatch agreed with them, and that started the whole nonsense. And
around the whole country
backwards since 2014, ever since that.
I would have conversations, and I would say, if you guys want to protest, I don't have a problem with it if it's organized and if it's during the day. I said, but once it gets dark, they should be shut down because everything bad happens after dark, no matter who's doing the protest. Because the bad people come out at night.
We were out there. You were out there that day with me. And
that's great that you say those things now, but to this day, it's going on. On college campuses today, there are violent protests. There are students that are occupying buildings, burning down structures. And this idea that the right does this is there's no way that it's not even close. January 6th aside, tell me a time when the right has done any of these things. And the answer is they haven't done any of these things. The damage that was inflicted to the city of St. Louis, the ongoing protests from Black Lives Matter all during COVID, it was all from the left. And what we learned with Doge and with Elon Musk is that where did the funding for all that come from? It came from USAID. So all these billions of dollars, $300 billion a year is allocated to USAID. That money flows to non-for-profits that flows onto the blood and the burning and the riots in the street, all from the left.
Well, how can you say, like, effective today, you're making the statement that this is going on in St. Louis today?
No. I'm saying it did. We evidenced it for a whole year, and there's nothing to compare. There's no one on the right's ever rioted and burned stuff down.
Maybe not from the right, but from the left. How about the 1960s? I know I'm the dinosaur at the table, but you know, it's not like this has never happened. I mean, we have had violent, riotous protests, and many of these people wind up in jail.
I'll remind you, the protests of the 60s all came from the left. Yes. It was all the Democrats and liberals that violently protested. It wasn't from the right.
I find this interesting, too, just because, and again, you guys aren't in this camp, but I've had people in my life that have shoved me aside because of Trump. And I wasn't even a Trump guy 8 years ago, right?
You're right.
I'm a Nazi, right? So a lot of us have had those issues. But here's the thing. I don't know anyone on my side that goes to a family event or with friends and they don't want to talk to you because you supported Kamala or, you know, whoever. Nobody. It's all your side. And I'm not saying you, Steve, but it's always the crazy people on the left. Look what's happening now. This is a mental illness that we're dealing with. It's not politics.
Okay,
They're
but
mentally ill.
I think you're both blowing it out of proportion. I know a lot of people that are certainly far left progressive, but they still talk to people that are on the right. They haven't shut them out of their lives. Sometimes they're going to say, hey, if we're going to be at dinner, we're going to agree to not talk about politics tonight. I mean, I get that, but they haven't completely shut these people out of their lives. I know you see it at the national level. I'm just saying anecdotally, I don't see it.
I totally agree. South St. Louis is a bastion of common sense conservative Democrats.
I don't see it anywhere in St. Louis.
I don't either.
Great. We're not talking about that. Okay. We're talking about around the rest of the whole country when it comes time to decide national issues, who's president, who's in charge of the House, who's in charge of the Senate. Your party, the party that you remain part of, is crazy and violent. And the progressives have won. They are the leaders of your party now, and I think...
Well, and this is where you... Look, what's happened, there's polling out this week. John's right about this, and what you have to decide, it's interesting, because the antithesis, the people that are going after Schumer right now aren't going after Schumer because...
He's too conservative.
He's too conservative. He's not crazy enough because they didn't do enough to fight. The resistance is not happy right now. So you have Don Lemon going on, you know, a podcast last week talking about this, saying, this was with Bill Maher, that AOC is the standard bearer. People like AOC.
No way.
People want AOC.
No.
Well, Steve, I would agree with that.
All right, I'd say
this
good
is a
luck
perception.
ever winning any election.
Right.
If you're going to say AOC is the standard bearer of the Democratic Party in the United States, we are never going to win another election.
I think Bill Maher agrees with you.
I mean, that's just not going to happen.
But you understand that the dissatisfaction with the Democrats right now is because you're not progressive enough. Many people, when they're asked about this in polling, they don't think the Democrats are fighting for them. I don't know.
Here's one thing that I'm thinking about is the fact that a lot of what we're talking about has happened since COVID. And the reason I bring that up is because we have a lot of elected officials, especially in the city of St. Louis, that weren't around in 2008 when we almost went bankrupt. And it's easy to act in a certain manner when you got lots of money behind you. But when all of a sudden your city is bankrupt or it's on the verge of bankruptcy, you have to make some really tough decisions. And that's really hard for people who stand very strongly on one way or the other, that they'll have to decide. Do I make sure that we have clean water in the city of St. Louis, or do I make sure that we give away money? So tough decisions are about to be made, and it's going to be hard for those who've been around since then.
Well, the progressives in St. Louis have lost. I mean, Tesharo's going to lose in two and a half weeks, and they will have lost.
Corey's out, Kim's gone.
5 years ago was all the progressive stuff. They've done tremendous damage. Kara's coming in. She's progressive, too. But hopefully the policies themselves, the progressive policies, are stopped dead in the tracks. The one thing I haven't heard anything in this campaign is who's going to arrest the criminals. You know, who's going... I heard a long interview with Bob Clark. Bob Clark's a huge Democratic supporter. He's supporting Kara. Because every single St. Louisan can relate to this. Because I was driving down 170, going behind a police car, so I was going 70 miles an hour, and 8 cars came roaring by at 100 miles an hour. The cop didn't move. I didn't move. And he goes, until that goes away, we're not going to fix anything in this city.
I see it on 44
Everywhere.
I see it
It's
go to
everywhere.
church
I
on
see
Sunday
it, Donna.
morning.
We all see it.
Yep.
We need 300 more cops on the street, in their cars.
But neither of these two candidates are talking about it. And I hope that when Kara wins, that she does something about it, because the progressives won't talk about it. How do we, like, I go to church in the city. We have my wife. She drives. She's watching 100 mile an hour Sunday morning, 9 o'clock in the morning. Cars speeding by.
Not stopping at stoplights.
Oh,
either.
And
Kara,
she works in the emergency room.
No,
Since
Kara
she was
has
at the hospital.
talked about
Sees
it.
all the
always
damage.
says we need to hire more cops. It's
Yes.
one of her top 3 things she
Correct.
says every time she talks.
Well, hold her to it.
All right, we're going to take a break. Come on. A fiery one here in South County today. We like it. We got a good audience here for the Roundtable as well. We're at Fish Fry Fridays at Assumption Parish. We're coming back with more in a moment on 97.1 FM Talk. Hang in there.
Look at all the Reardon t-shirts.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
You know what? We've got an accident on southbound 170, and this is just before 6440. It looks like the left lanes are blocked, and people are kind of squeezing by on the right side. There is a jam behind that. So if you are southbound on 170, that is the cause of the delay. Right now, it's back to about Delmar. Now, westbound 6440, some slow-moving traffic. Hampton, out through McCausland, the usual volume there. And then Highway N, out through the 70 split. 70 westbound out of downtown, not bad. Moderate volume at Cave Springs, and then again between 79 and Wentzville. We had some volume earlier eastbound on 70 Wright City through Wentzville. That's looking better. It's not as bad. And there is a vehicle off the roadway. I just posted this on X at Susan6768. This is southbound 270, south of 21. It's just gone completely off the roadway. And they don't have the lanes blocked yet. Emergency crews are headed to the scene, but we have some moderate volume and some heavier volume that goes back through 44. Southbound 55 slowing at Bayless, and some volume westbound and eastbound for that matter on the Poplar Street Bridge. This report is brought to you by Point with an E Pest Control. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
If you work for cash tips, you must report them to the IRS. I'm Hillary Barsky with your Fox Business Tax Tip. Tips are treated as wages and are subject to both income and Social Security tax. CPA and tax attorney Alan J. Strauss.
The person receiving the tips is required to let the boss know the amount of the tips that he or she received and pay the Social Security tax on it.
Restaurant servers automatically have taxes withheld.
If the amount is less than what is required, you're still required to report all of the tips and pay the difference as to what might be owed on the rest of the tips.
The employer also has many reporting obligations. Hillary Barsky, Fox News.
I think you're right. There's something there. Oh, no, I'm with you.
A lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, this is my last hope. The next step is getting them in the right arch supports. Our goal is to have that long-term change for them, to see someone that is in pain, I change things for them. See how we can help you with a free fitting at the Good Feet store.
If you're the victim of a car accident or suffered a work injury in St. Louis, you want attorneys who live here and work here to handle your case. You want someone who knows St. Louis and is about St. Louis. You want Kaufman Townsley. We settle only when it's in your best interest, and when it's not, we go to trial. And nobody has more experience than our attorneys. Experience that pays off for you. Kaufman Townsley. Real people, real results. Call 314-500-5000. That's 314-500-5000.
smartest way to do your homework is Hackman Lumber.
Warm weather means homework for homeowners. And for 80 years, Hackman Lumber has been the trusted name for home improvement. If your homework means a new deck, turn to the deck experts at Hackman Lumber. Browse the largest inventory of decking materials and accessories in Missouri. Talk with our experts about treated lumber, cedar, TimberTech, Trex, Envision, Decorators, and Duralife to find the perfect deck for you. Choose from endless railings, balusters, and LED deck lighting options. Hackman Lumber has been serving homeowners and pros for 80 years, and they will not be undersold on in-stock decking materials guaranteed. Whether you DIY with their expert advice or need a trusted contractor, Hackman has you covered. They are now an authorized steel dealer and stock a huge selection of grills. So celebrate summer with a new Big Green Egg, pellet grills, Weber gas, or charcoal grill, and all the accessories you need for the perfect backyard setup. Visit Hackman Lumber's showrooms in St. Charles, Pacific, and Troy, Missouri, or hackmanstl.com.
It's 3:44, back with Mark Reardon and crew from Assumption Parish. This time check brought to you by Jerry Kelly.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Mark's back Monday. Let's hope Kentucky wins so we don't have to hear him gripe. At 6:20, Hans von Spakovsky from Heritage on Republicans trying to impeach federal judges blocking Trump.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9.
Fish Fry Fridays continue on the Mark Reardon Show. We are live in South County off of Mattis Road at Assumption Parish. We would love to see you. I got to remind people, too, that tomorrow night is our Brian Kilmeade event. We would love to see you there. You can still go to briankilmeade.com. I think there are some VIP tickets available. Brian's rolling in tonight. We got a little breakfast with him tomorrow with some clients, which will be fun. He is very accommodating. If you get the VIP tickets, you'll get a copy of his latest edition book that is signed. So we'll love to see it. And the factory is an awesome place. John, you've been to the factory, right?
Oh, many times. Yeah.
Steve, have you been there yet?
I have. I love it.
Donna, have you been to the factory? You stay in the city too often. We got to get you out to the county every once in a while. Donna Berenger is here. Steve Butts, John Lamping. It really is a cool venue. I mean, I would say this about St. Louis overall. You go down to U City and you see what has happened there with the pageant in Delmar Hall and the Duck Room. And I wasn't sure if there was enough room for another venue like that, but we have great music venues, and that helps our region, I think, especially out there at the factory. I'm told that they really did a good job for the bands, making the bands comfortable backstage. Mm-hmm. That's important. You know that, Steve, right, as a musician.
Take care of your lead
you gotta
singers.
Take care of the talent, right? All right, this is a little bit of an off the radar type topic for the roundtable. We're going to do it. I talked about this yesterday. So, and you don't really need to know much about this outside of what I'm going to tell you. There was an opportunity for the Lafayette basketball team to go to the state tournament. They did, but for the kids from the tournament, and one of the starters, at least one of the starters, decided to go to spring break instead in Cancun. Now, I found out a little bit more about this from yesterday, and maybe this plays into it, but the trips were booked in advance. I guess there was no recognition they'd be good enough to go to the state championship, so there was money on the line where it might not be able to be refunded. I think you can get travel insurance for stuff like that. But I don't know that I put this at all on the kids, John. I think that you have a commitment. What does the rest of the team feel when you have 4 people and you're going to win a championship, which I don't know how many times you'd have a chance to do that. Most kids would never have that chance. And then mom and dad say, you know what, we're going to spring break instead, so you can puke on your friends.
So I can see your point that you would put it on the parents for letting the child make this decision. And I think that the child's going to do what you tell them to do. You're not going to get on some plane and go to Cancun without your parents. I think this speaks a lot to what my generation, our generation, has done as far as parenting and specific to sports. We've made these athletes so very pampered from a very early age. My understanding is the best player in the team and the point guard. So those two players probably been playing organized basketball since they were 9 or 10 years old, been playing year-round.
Right, earlier than that.
Yeah, a lot of travel, a lot of money was spent. They probably have, personal coaches, training, all these kind of things. And yet, being the best player at Lafayette High School, you probably aren't even going to play Division I basketball, maybe Division II basketball. So I just think it's symptomatic of just making everything wonderful for young people, pampering athletes. It happens over and over again. Youth athletics is a multi-billion-dollar industry that doesn't need to be, because 99% of the kids are never going to play professional sports. I think it's just part of that. The kids, undoubtedly, the kids wanted to go on spring break. If you're the kid and you want to play basketball at the state finals,
you would insist on playing. Right? Now, I heard one of the kids did come back early, but Steve, what's your opinion on this?
I love sports. I'm a sports nut. If I would be in any championship game, it could be my 8th grade tournament at St. Gabriel's, you would have had to cut my right arm off to say you're not playing in that game. So I read the story. I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. You got 1 shot, maybe 2 shots in high school to go to any kind of finals at the state level. I
mean, that's what you dream
I was
of.
shocked.
Right.
Correct.
I used to play basketball in my backyard, and I was terrible because I ended up being the manager on my 7th grade team. But I would envision that you would be there at the championship. You're putting up that three-pointer just like's happening right now in the NCAA tournament. So I don't really understand the story. And again, maybe there are dynamics that I'm not aware of, but just letting your teammates down, just that in and of itself just seems really, really unfair to the rest of the team.
I wouldn't have agreed with it, but what I tell people is when I went on my senior trip to the Bahamas, I had to pay for it myself. So these kids must not have had to pay for this trip. Because,
no, of course not.
Exactly.
Look, I was talking about this. There is this West County entitlement with these parents and with the kids. This is a rite of passage that you get to go to Cancun and or wherever, Cabo, and I don't quite understand it. I was never really privileged enough to go on spring breaks. I worked during spring breaks.
In the 70s, I don't think we had spring break,
no,
and if we did, I went back to Uncle Bill's Pancake House to wash dishes. So I did go
to Spain. I went to Spain my senior year on a senior trip. Part of that was during spring break, but that was educational, wasn't it? Because I was in Spain learning the language that I still can't speak today. Let's segue into more sports here, because and we're all talking about this during the break. We're all supporters of St. Louis sports, SLU, the soccer team, and we do have a baseball team here, I'm told. So let's talk about that, John, because this is really troubling. Look, you had Sonny Gray, who's going to start for the Cardinals on opening day, get pulled again today. They have these rules at spring training where you can go out, you get pulled for a reliever, and then you go back out in the next inning or whatever, and that's happened multiple times. His ERA is sitting like at 13. Now, could things change between now and next week? I don't know. I mean, this could really be a terrible, terrible season for St. Louis.
Look, I've voiced my opinion about their front office for years. I boycotted the team. I said I wouldn't go back until Mosaic's gone. I got a year to go still. But I will just say this. St. Louis is a baseball town. Generations upon generations grew up following baseball. The rest of the country recognizes us as being very, very knowledgeable fans. That we're ones that we'll applaud the other team when they turn a really nice double play or something, because we know baseball. We know when you're supposed to bunt or move the guy over, whatever.
The fans are very educated.
Yeah, our fans know what's coming out of this front office the last couple of years is complete BS, and they finally started speaking with their money. You saw last August, September, we had nights where there's 5,000 people at the ballpark, and now, as of a week ago or so, there's 13,000 tickets that are available for opening day. I think if our fans are so knowledgeable, they should be listened to, and this front office actually kind of laughs at the fans as if they've got a better plan that we just don't get.
And I come in a different direction. I'm looking at revenue, and the city of St. Louis needs our teams to win
Sure.
because it generates revenue for the city of St. Louis. So I'm more concerned about the loss in revenue for
Well,
the
we
city.
should be concerned about that because that's a legitimate issue.
Economic impact is
Yes.
huge. I think I'm going to agree just a little bit with John. If the ownership knows they're going to draw 3.1, 3.2 million in a small market like we are, mid-major market, so to speak, maybe they take the fans for granted. I have not ever boycotted the team. I go to as many games, still split season tickets. But I can tell you there's a couple things that are just crazy, and this 3-year batting slump we've been in is just mind-numbing. Different players, even different hitting coaches. I'm like, how did these guys who've always hit the ball quit hitting that and will never be able to hit rookie left-handed pitching? It's just like the two things of the Cardinals that are true. But, hope springs eternal, and I think we're going to make the playoffs, and I'll see you guys. I hope you all eat humble pie because I'm going to be there.
Steve, I'd be happy because I'm not rooting against them for failure. I depend. This is sort of what we were talking about with Mizzou earlier. I'm so dyed in, and a lot of us are locked in emotionally to our teams, right? So I was devastated last night to the point where I feel physically sick about my team performing so poorly. I'll get over it, right? But with the Cardinals, we depend on them for entertainment. And Fred's not here, he's in Japan, but we talk about this a lot because we'll go home and listen to the game or watch the game. And it's very difficult to do that when there's no hitting or where there's nothing exciting about the team. So can we get off to a better start than expected? Is there the possibility to exceed expectations? Absolutely. I think the Brewers did that last year. We've seen other stories in Major League Baseball. But there's no reason, let me go back to Mizzou, there was really no reason to think that they were going to do well in the NCAA tournament if you thought about it because they were coming in on a bit of a losing streak. With the Cardinals, I think we keep hoping for hope, and it's just not coming through. So I don't know what the answer is because Moselak's one-year exit plan, what is that going to do? It's just going to extend the agony and the
it's
pain
the rest
right
of this
now.
whole year, and no one's being held. Look, the good news is that we've got one more season to go before we'll have a new front office, and hopefully by then things will change. And I'm with you. I'm going to listen. I'll follow the team. I just won't give the team my money. And I just consciously decided to do that years ago. And now it seems like the rest of the Cardinal fans are following suit. They won't draw $3 million this year.
No, but we'll
not
still
even
draw
close.
$2.8 million. You can get into the game for about $12. So
I can park for $50 on opening day. So no, I think I'll stay home.
Look,
well,
Steve,
I have
I
to park
love
for
going
free at the MAC. There's different ways
belong
to
to the
do
MAC.
it.
I still love going to the games. But again, you're going to be less incentivized to do that if
Oh,
you
no.
think you're going to see a crappy product. For
Actually,
sure.
the median price, this is shocking too, the median ticket price for the Cardinals, median meaning the middle, absolute middle, $88.
That's not what anybody pays.
I understand.
You go in the aftermarket and get tickets for $5.
But only if somebody paid $88 can they sell it to you for $5. Which is a lot of my season ticket friends all drop their tickets because they're tired of selling them for nothing. And one of the things the Twins did and some other teams are doing, I love to see the Cardinals do, they have a $5 menu. If there are 10 items you can buy for $5, a hot dog, bottled water, soda, French fries, $5.
I love that.
The last time I went to a Cardinal game and I went up to get a hot dog, I only could get a hot dog plate. It was $15.
I think a bottle of water is like $9 now.
It is.
Some
They
of it
let,
is
they
just
let you bring stuff in.
ridiculous.
This management's been family friendly on bringing your own food and drinks into the stadium.
But, on the economic impact, though, I mean, it could be a double whammy because of the crime issue as well. You have people that don't want to come downtown anyway,
Correct.
and then you have people that might not want to come for the Cardinals games. So there's going to be an economic impact. I don't know about Ballpark Village because on the down nights, I think those places are struggling already,
They are.
and this is going to make it even more challenging. Listen, we're about to wrap up. Thank you, Steve Butts, for coming out here. Donnie, you had to kind of pinch
Thanks,
hit
Mark.
because we didn't know Jane was going to be out of town. So thank you very
No,
much.
thank you for
I
having me.
appreciate it. Good luck with the rest of the campaign.
I'm on to my
And,
next fish fry.
She's on the ballot. Go vote if you're in the city of St. Louis. Mr. Lamping, thank you so much for coming out here. Brought your daughter out. I hadn't seen her in a while. We're going to get you. I'm going to take him to a baseball game, Steve. We're going to drag him to a baseball. We'll pay, okay? So you don't have to spend
You know what?
your money.
We'll go to the last game of the year. Because
right.
that'll be the last game.
All right, to
Mo's
celebrate
airlock.
Mo's exit. All right, thank you very much. We're out of time. Carl's hanging out in the studio holding things down. I appreciate that. We'll come back with a live Sue's News. We're at Assumption Parish in South County. It's Fish Fry Fridays on the Mark Reardon Show.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
There is an accident on westbound 70 past 79. Watch for that. They've got the left lane blocked. Traffic, of course, is jammed behind it. And it's not quite back to 370. It's more like mid-rivers. But that's the issue for 70 drivers. Now, on 6440, that's more of a thing right around Hampton, out through McCausland. We've got some volume out west, Highway N in pockets out through the 70 split. 70 westbound, also some moderate volume headed for Wentzville. Now southbound 270, we've got this vehicle off the roadway, and it's just south of 21. It's completely off on the shoulder. You could tell it was not on purpose. We have slow-moving traffic back past 44, but it doesn't look like emergency crews are there. They're just kind of letting it be. So we'll see what happens there, but we still have slow-moving traffic there from approaching 44 down to just past 21. Now, if you're headed in from Illinois, there's some volume on the Poplar Street Bridge. Southbound 55, slowing south of Arsenal. And eastbound 44 slows right at the 55 split. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. 356 and 97.1 FM Talk.
All right, we're back with more here at Assumption Parish in South County, but I want to tell you about Underdog Fantasy, and this is a great weekend. Despite what happened with my alma mater last night, a great weekend to really have some fun and experiment with Underdog Fantasy. Now you can use it in Missouri. You can bring the fun of the bracket to every game by making entries on Underdog. It's one of the leading sports apps. You get started by downloading the app, and you just pick higher or lower on the stat lines. Now, when you download the app, you pick your username and your password. And once you use the promo code MARKR, M-A-R-K-R, that will unlock a special offer of some bonus credits for you. You can play with as little as $1. If you get everything right, you can win up to 1,000 times your money. My wife has had a lot of success and fun on Underdog. Millions of fans have already won billions. So get started, download the app, use the promo code MARKR to unlock a special offer of up to $1,000 in bonus credits when you make your first deposit. Join in on the fun today. Sign up with the promo code MARKR, claim your special offer, and really have some fun this weekend. Must be 18 plus and present in a state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Concerned with your play, call 800-GAMBLER or visit ncpgambling.org.
Brought to you by Volley.
Volley.
Level up game night with Volley, the smart TV app for playing games like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, or test your knowledge with fun music quizzes and party games. Turn your TV into the ultimate game hub with the Volley app on your Roku or Fire TV. Download it and play today.
Volley.
What would you give for a child you loved? To make their wish come true? To help them fight a critical illness? Just imagine what you'd do. You see, wishes are so powerful, and you can make them real. They can give a child back their childhood, even change the way they feel. Every single one of us can make the stars align, because when we come together, hope and joy will shine. Wishes need stars like you. Visit Make-A-Wish at wish.org.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money, Saturday mornings at 11 on 97.1 FM Talk. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
For all KFDK contest rules, go to 971talk.com. That's 971talk.com.
KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Both sides double down. I'm Lisa Brady, Fox News. During a court hearing on a federal judge's effort to shut down deportation flights last weekend and to get more information on who was sent to El Salvador.
After Judge Boasberg began talking and began questioning members of DOJ about the plane to make sure that they understood that his order didn't say to release these people back on American soil. He just wanted to know why the planes took off when he ordered them not to be taken off. He said, why was this proclamation signed in the dark and then these people rushed onto planes explains the only reason to do this is that you know it's a problem and you want to get them out before lawsuits are filed.
Fox's David Spund at the federal courthouse in D.C. The Justice Department says suspected members of Tren de Aragua, a Venezuelan gang labeled a foreign terrorist organization, were legally deported under the Alien Enemies Act. The American Civil Liberties Union is challenging the use of that wartime law, and an ACLU attorney says their named plaintiffs dispute being gang members. A day after signing an executive order aimed at dismantling the Department of Education and giving more control back to the states, President Trump says some of the department's responsibilities are shifting to other federal agencies. He's moving the student loan portfolio to the Small Business Administration.
They're all set for it. They're waiting for it. It'll be serviced much better than it has in the past. It's been a mess.
Programs for special education and nutrition are being transferred to Health and Human Services. This as Republicans in Congress work on legislation to eliminate the department. House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries says that will hurt students, families, and teachers. Columbia University, trying to win back federal funding suspended by the administration, says it's working hard to address legitimate concerns about the treatment of the Jewish community on campus. A memo obtained by Reuters details actions the university plans to take. The administration has demanded restrictions, including a ban on face masks. America is listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly sunny skies, wind gust up to 40 miles per hour. Temperature 67, a lot of dust, smoke, pollen, and a high fire danger into the evening. Tonight, clear skies, evening temperatures drop into the 50s, 39 for the low. Saturday, sunny, 59. Sunday, morning showers, otherwise lots of clouds, and 65. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
I'm Chad Robinson with Your Money Now. President Donald Trump today awarding Boeing a contract to build the U.S. Air Force's sophisticated fighter jet known as Next Generation Air Dominance. The NGAD program will replace Lockheed Martin's F-22 Raptor with a crewed aircraft that's built to enter combat alongside drones. General Motors executives met with the head of the U.S. Secret Service in Michigan this week to reportedly discuss building a new presidential limousine, according to the Detroit Free Press. The Secret Service said on social media site X that their director Sean Curran met with GM to discuss advancements that could benefit the next generation of armored SUVs. On Wall Street, during the final trading session of the week, stocks were higher, with the Dow getting a victory up 32 points. The S&P 500 gained 4, and the tech-heavy NASDAQ was up by 92. U.S. crude oil futures for May above 68 a barrel. That's Your Money Now.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pegol is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's Izervay.
This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
We are live at Assumption Parish for Fish Fry Fridays, and I want to guide you into a wonderful Generac home standby generator from Generator Supercenter. I still have to laugh at my friend Jeannie Sullivan, who sent me a message last Saturday about the power being out, because it was a week ago today when things were kind of crazy. We were in Cottleville, and then we left, and the winds were kicking up, and then power went out for a lot of folks. My neighborhood had the tornado sirens go off, I think it was 8 or 9 times. Generator Supercenter in Chesterfield is the #1 Generac generator dealer in the nation, and they have a free estimate awaiting for you. They don't sell portables. These are very dependable, so if the power goes out, they kick right in. If you get hit during a storm, if the power grid fails, you're going to have peace of mind, and you won't have to be the person that texts someone the next day and says, I wish I had a generator. Don't wait for the next outage. Don't wait for the next storm. At least get started with a free estimate from Generator Supercenter. Financing is available. If you're interested in doing that, low monthly payments certainly in the mix. 314-499-2020, 499-2020. You can swing by in Chesterfield or the website Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com. That's Generator Supercenter of St. Louis.com.
There's nothing like it. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the timeless voice of Cardinals baseball.
A swing, and there's a high fly ball. That's into deep left field. It might go. It's a gunner.
Now, you can experience every pitch, every play, every win in crystal clear FM sound.
Big fly, Evan Burleson.
Starting March 24th, tune in to 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of the Cardinals, now stronger than ever.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
Attention St. Louis Medicaid members. If you need assistance with daily living, you can receive a free service from Freedom Care in your own home from a loved one who lives with you. With Freedom Care, you decide who provides your daily care, helping you with preparing meals, bathing, laundry, transportation, and more. A family member or friend that gets paid instantly. It's all through Medicaid, and as a St. Louis resident, it's 100% free to you. New to Medicaid, the Freedom Care family will guide you through enrollment, making it stress-free for patients and caregivers. With over 7,000 five-star Google reviews, we've perfected at-home care for Medicaid members and caregivers. If you live in the St. Louis area, this service is free to you through Medicaid, and with our InstaPay app, caregivers can choose to get paid instantly. So go to freedomcare.com or call 314-697-4912. 314-697-4912. That's 314-697-4912.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. If you want immediate cash for your home or to see what your home is actually worth in today's market, find out for free from the local experts. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
It's Power Torque Tools DIY days at O'Reilly Auto Parts. Save $20 on a Power Torque 248-piece mechanics tool set. Power Torque professional hand tools have a lifetime guarantee. Available only at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
If you can only see Sue Thomas dancing
Come on, it's Chaka
live here
Khan.
to Chaka Khan at our Fish Fry Friday broadcast. We are at Assumption Parish in South County off of Mattis Road. We had a great roundtable. My thanks to the panel for making it out here. They go the extra distance, if you will, especially Lamping, because he came from Augusta. Steve Butts is always great, and Donna had a kind of pinch hit at the last minute. So thank you to my panel from the last hour. We have Paul Hall coming up on entertainment. We always do that on a Friday. Cusumano, unfortunately, back from Wichita because of the Mizzou loss, but we have some great news with the Blues last night. Big victory for them. So we're going to talk a little basketball, and of course, we still have the tournament going on. There was one upset, I think, this afternoon. It was Colorado State, who picked off, who was it again,
Memphis.
Ethan? Memphis. That's right. I keep forgetting who they lost to. So Fish Fry Fridays are in the third week here, Sue. Can you believe it?
No, it's great, though.
We've had a great time. We have Mark Kennison, who is with Assumption out here. He's one of the guys that puts all this together. You've been working since I walked into this building. Now you got people lined up out the door, right? It happens quickly, doesn't it, Mark?
That's right. It's a process, but we love the group that comes out, and we love serving fish on Friday nights.
All right, so tell me about this one, because this is a big fish fry. There's no doubt you got a big line out there in the coming into the cafeteria, but also the drive-thru is a big part of this one, right?
Yeah, we serve about a third of our meals in the drive-thru. You can pre-order all week, starting on Saturday mornings, and then we'll take orders all the way up until now.
Now, I was asking about this because this is pretty efficient. You can go just on the website and just do it there, and you could be pretty particular on your order, right?
Sure, yeah. AssumptionFishFry.org. You can go online, you can order, you pick out what kind of fish you want, what kind of sides you want. Comes with hush puppies and desserts, so you can really put your whole meal together. We have some value meals as well.
What is on the menu, sir?
Oh, yes. We were kind of bearing the lead here.
Ultimate
We should
question.
talk about that.
Yeah, absolutely. So we have a beer-battered cod fillet. We have a cornmeal breaded catfish, a lemon pepper baked tilapia. Besides that, we have some breaded shrimp. We are doing some entree specials this year. So last week we had a lobster roll. Next week we're serving 3 fish tacos, and in a few weeks we're serving up some hot honey rockfish sliders.
Wait a minute. Is there a lobster roll this week? Hello?
No lobster rolls this week. We sold out last week about 6 o'clock.
I bet.
Now, numbers-wise, I always find this interesting, too. You're talking like maybe over 2,000 people sometimes, but slightly under that number just because it's spring break, right? Maybe fewer?
Maybe 1,900 meals tonight, but
Right.
yeah, very close to 2,000.
But the Mark Reardon show's drawing people in like crazy, too.
Absolutely. We're going to pack the place.
Well, we are very happy to be here. We have a lot of fun at these, and it's very interesting for me just to see the operation. Because, as we came in, I just called them the pickle guys. There were 3 guys with the same name. Who were they? They all had the same name in there, putting the pickles into the jar. Mark, do you know who they were? Because they literally said they all had the same name.
So
Pete.
it might have been.
I think it was all Pete.
Yeah,
Pete,
all
Pete.
P's. Yeah, I know Paul was in there and Pete. Yeah.
But we were talking about the raffle too. There's a raffle that's going on that's quite enticing, isn't there?
Sure. So we run a Queen of Hearts raffle that goes all year long. We kicked it off during the fish fry last year. So we did have a winner last fall. The jackpot was over $100,000, and the winner took home half of that. It's going again. Right now our jackpot is at $48,000.
Jeez.
So the winner will take home half. We'll do the drawing at 6 o'clock tonight.
That's pretty impressive, especially when you compare. I always like to look at the 50-50 raffles at the hockey game or at a Mizzou game or the ball. That's an impressive number to be up to that already.
Yeah, it is.
So there's certainly something on the line. Well, anything else people need to know if they're coming out here to Assumption?
No, just that we try to limit the wait as much as you can, but you will have a little bit of time in line. However, by the time you get there, the food is going to be hot and fresh, and we promise you a delicious meal.
What if someone comes up here and offers me a few dollars to help them skip the line? Is that allowed?
Well, hey, we'll see what they can work out with you, Mark.
What if someone comes? Have you had one of my cookies yet, by the way?
Oh, my
Would you like
gosh.
a cookie?
I haven't had a cookie. I love cookies.
I have wonderful cookies. I have white chunk macadamia nut with cranberry. I have regular chocolate chip, and then I have chocolate with white chocolate chip.
Please, feel
What's
free.
your favorite?
You know,
He likes
I like the macadamia nuts and the cranberry. Those are really good.
We'll go with that.
Those are my specialties.
So
I made those, Mark.
Can we serve these in our drive-thru next week?
Sure.
Yes, I don't see. Yeah, okay, let's
absolutely.
keep them fresh for this week.
Well,
maybe.
those are fresh. I made like I don't know 4 dozen cookies this week. So we handed out some during the roundtable as well.
Not bad, huh?
Pretty good.
Delicious.
I think you might have grabbed you grabbed a regular chocolate chip though. You better grab another one. Seriously, dude. You got to grab one of the white chunk on the
Yeah, in the bag.
Yeah. So now you got one of each. That's good because I don't want you to be disappointed. The regular chocolate chip are good, but I can do better. But thanks, Mark, for having us.
Well, you should have. Oh, I guess I should have.
You made him
presented
stuff
it
his
the
mouth
other
with
way.
all this chocolate chip cookies. Now you're expecting him to
No,
talk.
absolutely.
Yes.
We're really glad you guys could come out. We love having you here and look forward to seeing
Well,
you
it's
guys
awesome.
again.
And the weather's a little bit more cooperative this afternoon
no
compared to
kidding.
last week as well. That's Mark Kennison. Thank you so much. And keep us posted if we need to get the word out to anyone about stuff that's going on. We have Paul Hall, as I mentioned, Cusumano. In the next hour, I want to talk about that too because I'm looking forward to meeting him in person. Sue introduced us to Hank Lina, and you met Hank doing a history of the Lewis Sioux. Is that right?
No, he's a family friend.
Okay.
He's a family friend of my in-laws.
Okay, now explain who Hank is for those people who might not have heard his story. He was born in New Zealand.
Yeah, lived there for most of his life. But then our friend Melanie was at the airport. She was flying to New Zealand. She's a concert pianist, and
Who isn't,
she met,
really?
right? And she met Hank, who happened to be in the States for something, for business, and they kind of got together, ended up getting married. But she lived over in New Zealand with him for several years. But then when COVID hit and all the lockdowns, they were extreme in New Zealand. And he
absolutely.
thought, I can't
deal with this.
He came back with her and became a U.S. citizen, and it was really emotional.
I will say this, outside of the story of his naturalization, the story of meeting his wife is
It's
really incredible and very inspirational. So
Yes.
he'll share that as well, because it was kind of like a love at first sight thing, I think.
Kinda.
In the airport. Scotty Warman's going to join us as well. I wish he could be here in person. He expressed interest, Ethan, in coming by to one of these. Didn't have the opportunity to do it today. Opening day is next week. The Blues won last night. Mizzou, of course, lost. Illinois plays tonight, Ethan. When do they play?
Tonight against Xavier. I want to say that's 6 o'clock hour,
Okay,
maybe?
that could be a good game.
Okay,
for sure.
I think so.
Did you notice that traffic was worse downtown last night because the Blues are good right now
Yes.
and more people
you
are
know what,
showing
Sue, I
up?
did.
So refreshing, though.
Yes, it was awesome.
I'm glad you brought that up. And here, let me express a little pet peeve. And I don't think this is too hard to request. But if you're not going to the hockey game and you're heading out on Market and but unfortunately have to pass Clark, you can't get through
No.
because so many cars are turning. And I get that the cars want to turn on the Clark. How about a cop there to
It would
maybe
be
direct
nice.
traffic? How hard would that be?
They were up on 12th Street because they had construction there. They were trying to get people through there and only letting. It was a nightmare.
It was, but again, to your point, I thought about that. A lot of interest in the Blues.
That's right. It was fun. Go
Yeah.
down Market and weave your way to 44 that way. It's the hot tip.
And I'll also correct myself.
I should have done that.
Illinois game at 8:45 tonight.
All right.
8:45.
Good to know. That's a good late game for sure. 4:16. Carlton's back in the studio. Let's do this.
These allegations are deeply concerning.
Does the president have any comment?
We're not going to comment.
It's not clear messaging.
No.
And now, Sue's News. Brought to you by Sue.
Thank you.
You know what, Ethan, did you remember the bell?
Oh, I don't have the bell.
Carl
Carl,
has the bell.
Carl,
grab
you have
that
the
bell
bell.
in there.
You
You're
know
a bell
what?
guy.
Thank you, Carl.
He's
And
got
by
it.
the way, thank you. It doesn't work particularly well and it gets stuck. Just
I'm
a heads
sorry,
up.
Sue.
Oh, that's okay. All right, it's National Flower Day, which I'm sure neither of you cares about. But I like a peony. Just put that in the old memory bank.
Was yesterday the first day of spring?
Yes.
So that's kind of
Yeah.
ironic. The
I know.
Day after.
I think they do that on purpose.
I think so.
And then a nice tulip. See, this is where Jane, I miss her. And we also have a hydrangea. Anyone? Yeah.
I have
Do
no
men
idea
have
what I
favorite flowers?
I don't know what kind of flower. I like flowers. I don't know what kind of flowers I
Anything
like. I
is?
just like flowers.
I think tulips are pretty. I like.
Okay.
You can go with roses. I
That's
think roses
something.
are pretty.
See,
yeah.
he mentioned something.
We used to have sunflowers in our backyard, and then they get 7-8 feet tall. Yeah.
I was looking at the fauna and flora today just from this perspective. I was telling my daughter, because they're going on the spring break cruise that is not during spring break that I
Correct.
booked for the long week. But I told her, because I was looking at some of the trees and the flowers, by the time they're back from that cruise, like next weekend, April 1st, around there,
right?
We may have leaves on the trees, right? They're starting to come out here.
Oh, it just makes me so happy. All right. We have a little Bruce Springsteen to play under this one, Carl, because on this day in history, it was 30 years ago. That's 1994. At the 66th Academy Awards, Springsteen won Best Song for Streets of Philadelphia.
That's right.
And it was from, of course, the movie Philadelphia. It was the first song Springsteen wrote specifically for a film. Did you know that? I don't think I knew that, but
I did know that, because I'm a super fan, as you know.
Oh, that's true. Tom Hanks won that year for Best Actor. Holly Hunter won for The Piano. And Steven Spielberg won his first 2 Oscars, Best Picture and Best Director, for Schindler's List.
Remember,
30
by
years.
the way, all those movies that you just mentioned there are outstanding.
Yes.
And remember, I'm old enough to remember when people would see the movies that are nominated for Oscars like that.
Yeah.
I've
it
never
doesn't
gone
exist.
back. I've watched Schindler's List. I've never gone back to see The Piano, I don't think.
Oh, The Piano
What was the
is
other
so
one you mentioned
good.
from the beginning?
You never have seen that? It's got Anna Paquin.
No,
and
I've seen
oh,
it. I've
you
never
have
gone back to watch it.
I gotcha. Philadelphia,
Yeah,
The
Philadelphia.
Piano.
I've never gone back to watch that one either.
Okay, here's something weird. Every day this week, there's been a story involving Ozzy Osbourne, and there's another one today. Okay, 21 years ago today, in 2004, an online Yahoo News poll named Ozzy Osbourne the nation's favorite ambassador to welcome aliens to Earth, should it ever happen. That gets the bell, Carl.
That seems to fit.
Uh-huh. I mean, you
There
got to
it
be
is.
right on that. Who else? Okay, and
he's the most similar
he's
probably
just-
to what an alien species
exactly,
would be, right? Yeah.
Exactly. In science news this week, I thought this was interesting. The stranded space station astronauts, of course, came home on Tuesday, and it actually had people wondering, how much did they get paid in overtime since they were stuck up there for an extra 8 months?
That's actually a really good question. Is that at play? But wouldn't they get paid if they were down on Earth anyway?
$5 a day.
compensation.
They're
that's
on
it?
salary making $150,000 a year, so they don't get overtime. They get $5 a day for incidentals while traveling.
So did you hear what Trump said about this today?
No.
A reporter asked him about this in the Oval Office, and he basically said, I do think that they should get paid true overtime. And then he said, maybe I'll pay it myself.
Okay, see?
Well, I talked about it
That's
2 days
awesome.
ago. I said, wouldn't there be some hazard pay for?
I would think. Okay,
leaving them
well,
up there?
here's what they're thinking. They get $5 a day for incidentals while traveling.
That's not even real.
They
Are
were
you
up
kidding
there.
me?
No, that is real. They were up there 286 days, so that's $1,430 each. NASA did note that they got meals, lodging, and transportation covered.
Oh, good. Oh,
thanks.
What a relief.
$5 a day wouldn't even cover something from a vending machine,
I
unless they're super
know.
cheap on,
Right.
the space station. Maybe they have a special vending machine.
I don't think they do. And we're going to see. That's cool. I didn't know that, Ethan, about Trump saying that. There's more science news this week, and you have to look this up. In scary robot news, Boston Dynamics posted a new video of its Atlas robot who can walk, run, crawl, cartwheel, and breakdance.
All of
They
those
actually show you this. I mean, this stuff has come a long way.
But can it tell you that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to win the AFC Championship?
I'm not sure it's predicting. I don't think that really counts yet. We'll see.
Is that what it
They
was?
will.
Is that
Wait,
what the
then
one in Vegas was?
Everybody would own one.
No, the one in Vegas at Sphere, remember I asked.
Yes, what did it say?
He said that the robot answered, they couldn't really answer that question.
Yeah.
But then they said, in the spirit of my new friendship, this is when I was recording.
That's
things,
right, I forgot we're
They
in the
said,
spirit
let's
of-
go Chiefs.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, and oddly, we found out this week, too. Okay, AI is good at a lot of stuff, but they found out that it's absolutely horrendous at reading clocks. It gets confused by the hour and the minute hands. So we've got robots that can break dance, but AI can't read a clock. It's just a really
Yeah, that's
interesting
weird.
time.
I'm going to say that's weird.
That
All
won't
right.
last long, right?
I can't imagine that it would. All right, Mark Reardon is a cleaner. Do you plan on doing any spring cleaning?
I've already done a fair amount of that.
What do you consider spring cleaning to include?
Like either cleaning out something in one of my areas in the basement. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
We have an office that my wife tends to use as an office when she's at home, and it basically became the receptacle for everything that we wanted to put, that didn't
just
go
like-
anywhere else. So it
yes.
was piling up, and it was piling up. And Becky has a particular challenge with trying to get projects like this done. Like, I come from the school of thought that says, I'm going to wake up on a Saturday morning
and get her done.
I'm going to get some stuff done. I have
Yes.
things on my list that I have to do. And these things around the house oftentimes take hours. So it's not just some. So I may or may not have made a threat recently along these lines where I said, I was trying to be nice about it because believe it or not.
What's your version of nice?
I say something like, look, I know I mention this all the time, but let me just say this. If you go on this cruise in 3 weeks, this was 3 weeks ago, and the office is not attended to, I might just throw everything out. And it worked.
Did it?
Yeah.
That's
still.
really charming. I see how you
I had
really
to
got
threaten.
it in there.
Sue,
it was that
nothing
bad.
else worked. I had to
That's
issue
fair.
a threat, and it finally got done. Because I'm just going to be honest, I don't think she's listening.
What's
right
in there?
She is terrible. Everything's in there. Everything
Okay.
from Alexa. There's Legos.
Oh,
there's stuff
okay.
from her. Anything that was left on the dining room table that they wouldn't do something with, I put it in there, and it just became, piled up forever.
Yeah.
But I get frustrated only because these are things you do have to kind of dedicate time. Okay.
No, you do. I
Right.
have to make a list
Right.
that says, because I get a great satisfaction by checking things off. There are people who do, there are people who don't.
Would you, by any chance, be willing, however, let me see if I can negotiate a deal here this afternoon.
Probably not.
Well, because I don't have time to do any of this tomorrow with Killmeat in town. So would you mind coming over to my
Yeah,
house and knocking
no.
a few things off the
Yeah,
list?
that's not going to happen. You should see the
All
length
right.
of mine.
Well, I had to try.
They say the poll by Home Depot found the top 3 spring cleaning projects. Washing the windows. Do you do that? I know
hate
there are
doing it,
companies
yes.
that do
no,
that.
I have to, for
They
the
have to
outside
fold
windows, I
in.
usually have someone come and do
Oh,
that. But I do
well.
the windows, yeah, you got to do that. You got to do the baseboards
The
and stuff
baseboards,
like that.
yes, I totally agree with that. Cleaning the grill, we should all do that. And getting our yard in order. You've got to watch out for
I
your
already did
grass.
that, too.
Okay, well,
I mean,
that's
you
good.
know what? We are on the cusp. I'm sure there's listeners out there who have already done this, but we're getting very close to the first cut.
Really?
My grass is ready to be
my
cut.
grass is just dead and then sprigs of onion grass.
Yeah.
Is that what yours is?
No, I have real grass in
Show off.
my yard.
And I've got a random life hack that I thought was good today. This didn't occur to me. I've got several, but we'll just do this for the weekend. Open bags of chips from the bottom. It's where all the seasoning rests. Flipping the bag makes it sprinkle down so you have better tasting chips through the whole thing. But if you just go for the bottom, that's how to do it.
I never even thought of
I
that
didn't
before.
either.
You know, I'm still hung up on, and you talked about this the other day, and I was, nibbling on a little bag of Wavy Lays yesterday that had none in them. It
Nothing-
basically
air.
The regular size of chips is now tantamount to the size you would get in a vending machine, right?
Yeah.
Chip-wise,
Yeah.
the bag looks like it's going to have something in it. The family size is basically the regular size.
It's true.
There's no extra family size because they don't want to.
Have potatoes gone up that much? I don't think so.
I think everything has, though, but you have to look at fuel costs and everything that
that's
goes
true,
into
too.
making labor costs. There's all kinds of stuff. I'm not justifying the price increases, but I think there's all kinds of things that
No,
play
it's a
into that.
thing. It's a thing. And finally, at Sue's News, we have today's random fact. Nintendo named Mario after the landlord of their first warehouse, whose name was Mario. It was a great way to get extension on paying rent. Isn't that amazing?
I love that.
And that's it for Sue's
cool
News.
little nugget for Sue's News. random
Imagine
fact.
being that guy.
Yeah.
Like this, the most famous game in the world is made after
Yes!
me, named after me.
Right, but imagine being that guy thinking, am I getting any compensation from that deal?
Right? Where's my cut?
426, we are live at Assumption Parish. It is Fish Fry Fridays on the Mark Reardon Show. The line is really long out the door, but they have an exceptionally well-run operation out here. Come see us. We're here till 6.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Okay, I feel like I should mention this. Do you guys use Waze? Because the voice this month on Waze is Shaka Khan.
Oh,
No
really?
way.
So I've been listening to her. That's why I'm so excited
That's
to
so
hear.
funny.
Because
I
she's
don't
been
use
telling me
Waze. Maybe
how to
I
go.
should, I don't. I listen to Sue Thomas on 97.1 FM Talk.
Oh, well, that's better.
What I do.
Westbound 70 looks great out of downtown. I mean, on the weekends, of course. There is a little bit of a traffic jam westbound 70, just past 370. We had an earlier accident to the east of there, and there's still some slow-moving traffic. Now, westbound traffic on the Poplar Street Bridge is slow. Eastbound, just moderate volume. Westbound 40 slow at Kings Highway out through McCausland and at Highway N. Now, there is an accident eastbound 70 at Wentzville, and it's left us with a jam that's almost back to Forestel. And other than that, we're okay. 55 southbound, a little bit slow right around Arsenal in the construction zone. Oh, shoot. That accident with the car off the roadway, southbound 270, south of 21, has left us with some volume. Heaviest back through 44, but it does go back through Big Bend in moderate ways. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
Brought to you by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Make sure your home's heating and cooling system is being cared for by your local Lennox Premier dealer, Scott Lee Heating. Special savings opportunities and federal tax credits are available, so call 314-756-9444 or visit online at scottleeheating.com.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They were in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
No paint, don't Rhino. Go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
Hey, it's Annie with my friend Stewie, and you know Stewart's American Mortgage and the Bagel Loan gets you your mortgage or your refinance at no closing costs. And I have Stewie with me right now. You're all about saving people money. Fiscal responsibility is really in right now, and you've got something up your sleeve for these folks.
You know what, Annie? Some people like to get better cash flow. Other people just want to pay off all their debt. So we're going to do something very, very unique. In Scotland, it was traditional to paint the door red once you paid off your mortgage. So we're going to give give you the Red Bagel Challenge. If you refinance with us and you consolidate your debt and you get your mortgage paid off in half the period of time remaining, we're going to give you a $1,000 bonus at the end of that term.
Well, Stewie's all about helping you build your wealth and build equity, and the Bagel Loan is another way to do it. Remember, no closing costs with the Bagel Loan. Reach out to Stewie directly with 314-324-4440. That's 314-324-4440. You can Google Bagel Loan for more information, NMLS number 226715.
I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. If you've been injured in a car accident, call America's largest injury law firm. For over 35 years, my mission has been to deliver more for our clients, to deliver more for you. Injured? Visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
The Budweiser First Pitch Breakfast, sponsored by Budweiser, is Thursday, March 27th, and features an unfiltered conversation with Cardinals Hall of Famer Vince Coleman. Your ticket includes a delicious breakfast buffet, bottomless mimosas, Bloody Marys, and an ice-cold Budweiser. Plus, you'll get 2 free tickets to Saturday's Cards-Twins game. Get 20% off your table now by using the code KMOX. Everything you need is at KMOX.com/events.
Renewal by Andersen is the #1 window and door brand for customer service. Find out why Renewal by Andersen has the most 5-star reviews in St. Louis at RBASTL.com or call 314-332-1924. RBASTL.com or 314-332-1924.
On Time News. On your time. Download the Odyssey app and dip in whenever you want. And stay on top of what's happening. 97.1 FM Talk on the Odyssey app.
Well, Stu, I would argue that we've reached that point in our Fish Fry Friday broadcast where pretty much nobody wants to pay attention to the broadcast and they just want to eat the fish. Because
Yes.
I don't know if you noticed, but our producing team out here has been very focused on the fish fry. Ethan and Matthew. No, I can't blame them though, because it's interesting. I walked down the hallway here. And the doors are open at Assumption. The line, by the way, is just huge, but they're moving people through here very quickly.
Yeah.
So come see us. We're off of Mattis Road. But if you walk down that hallway earlier this afternoon when we first got here, I'm like, man, that's kind of chilly. That's going to get, because I'm a wimp when it comes to this, right?
Yes.
Well, then I walk back there. Now there's heat coming out of the hallway.
Oh, I can feel it.
Because they're frying the fish back there. That's coming from the fryers. Go back and take a peek.
Can I just also say for the people who don't want to eat fried, there is some lovely baked tilapia here, which I'm about to try.
Well,
with the producers.
They have a lot of options out here, so come and see them. You can also go on to the website and make an order for carryout. Paul Hall's going to join us here with some movie thoughts and entertainment. We're going to start with Snow White.
This was my father's kingdom, a place of fairness, but the Queen changed everything. Your Majesty.
What did you say?
The people need some kindness.
You know, I really don't remember you being this opinionated. Magic mirror on the wall. Who is the fairest of them all?
There are so many things surrounding this movie that are fascinating, Paul Hall. Did you see the New York Times piece this morning?
I have not.
Okay, the New York Times had a piece that said, inside the controversy surrounding Disney's Snow White remake, and they chronicle everything from Rachel Ziegler being pretty crazy. She supports terrorists in Palestine. Gal Gadot, who is Jewish and fought in the IDF, is also a character in the movie. They had to do reshoots.
What is she in the movie?
The
Who
Queen.
is she?
She's
Well,
the
Paul, you
Queen, it, right?
Oh, wow.
Yep.
How bad was it?
Well, you can look at this
Oh,
one
dear.
two ways. First, let's talk about it as a movie before we get into any of the other stuff. Because the hardest thing for any critic to do is sit down and disassociate themselves from what's out there. But it's what I've got to do when I sit down. The film itself tells the classic story in a little bit of a different twist along the way. Rachel Ziegler is just fine as Snow White. She's beautiful with her singing. She was in West Side Story. She is here. She definitely prances through the role quite well. And Gadot as the Queen, for the most part, works, except for when she doesn't. And there's some scenes when she sings that I was a little underwhelmed with. Now, where I really have to step off on the movie itself, the dwarves, to me, look awful. And they took away from every single moment they were on screen to the point where it was distracting. The visual of them was just crazy out there, and it just didn't work. That and the fact that it felt so many times like it was a movie that took pieces and put them together to try and get to lighter stuff, and it didn't work.
I have a question, Paul. Are they all fake? Are they, you know what I mean? Are they generated? What's wrong with the dwarves?
Wait, you mean the dwarves? Yeah, because there was controversy from the get-go on this because they weren't going to cast actual dwarves, right? They were going to change the whole dynamic.
Right. There was a lot of stories about behind the scenes where Peter Dinklage and some others talked out about not necessarily casting dwarves the way they were looked at in the past. Funny thing is, there's a little that's part of the resistance force here that works as well. You know, I'd like to say I hate the movie. I'd like to say I love the movie. I don't either. There's moments that work and moments that don't. And quite frankly, unfortunately, more don't work than do. That's the movie. Now, the controversy is a whole nother story. And in fact, I talked at length with my daughter about it. And the problem here is she asked if Snow White's character was ruined, shall we say. And the thing is, Ziegler's comments hurt the character because they attack the character. And that is not good for Disney in the whole grand scheme of things. But I look back and say, well, that's a 1937 film. How many of us that are making all kinds of accusations and whatnot right now have watched that 1937 film anytime recently and knows what's in it?
Probably not a lot.
Not a lot.
Yeah.
No.
Look,
So,
there's
things missing that really bothered me, like Someday My Prince Will Come is not there. A couple, just the fantasy and the fairy tale of it. I mean, this was a fantasy. It wasn't meant to be a life lesson, Snow White, to me, in my mind. And that's missing here. That fantasy feeling is missing. And there's even a sequence in here that's, I would say, it's pretty scary to the younger kids as she heads off into the forest, and it's kind of dark. It's out there. There's things in here that I don't think work, and they're very out of joint with this film. But to each their own.
I want to focus more on the outside stuff, though, okay? Because I'm not going to see this movie, and I don't have any interest in it whatsoever. But when you mentioned about Rachel Zegler, and this was a very difficult thing, and they chronicle this in the New York Times because they had to kind of try to manage this. She goes out there and says, "Free Palestine." She's got a co-star that is on the completely opposite side of this, so there's tension there. Disney decides that they don't want to tell her to take the post down because that's going to create more controversy, right? So one of the executives goes to New York to have a heart-to-heart with Rachel Zegler, explains how much is at stake for both Disney and her career. She seemed to understand, but then in November she goes on Instagram and sounds off about Trump. There's all kinds of F-bombs and stuff like that.
Unbelievable.
So she seemingly doesn't really care about any of this. And Paul, I think that the reviews have been very, very negative. The audience response has even been worse. This movie costs a lot to make, so this is a big risk for Disney, and I think most people are betting on failure here, aren't they?
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. The fact of the matter is, if this would have been a wonderful movie, some people could have gotten beyond all that controversy.
Right. I think you're right.
It's not a very good movie, period. And that the problem here has nothing to do with it.
You know, I think it's an odd choice to have picked this particular movie. If you've got an issue with dwarves and if there's so many issues surrounding it, why in the world would you pick that to begin with?
I don't know. Because that's what Disney has done, and I think they're going to have to change. I think they're going to find that the audiences don't want what they're selling right now. All right, what else do you got this weekend?
Let's talk about a new doc that's over on Netflix that is really close to the folks in Missouri's heart, and that is The Twister, Caught in the Storm. This is a film that documents and chronicles the Joplin, Missouri Twister in 2011. Now, of course, you guys remember that.
That's crazy.
Wow.
Are you familiar with that, Sue?
No.
I wasn't aware of that either. So where is it?
The 2011. This is an EF5 that took out the entire town of Joplin, Missouri. And
no, we're familiar with that.
Yeah, no. The movie is
Netflix.
where?
It's over. I'm sorry. It's over on Netflix. It premiered yesterday for people to take a look at it. And
is it a movie or is it episodic?
It's about an hour and a half documentary. Just
Interesting.
one shot. And I'll tell you what, it has some of the most horrifying footage that I've seen in watching. I'm fascinated with storm stuff. In fact, I texted to make sure Mark was okay after the last storms rolled through.
Yeah, you did. You checked in on a Saturday. Thank you.
That's nice.
I am fascinated by storm stuff. This movie fascinated me, and the fact of the matter is they've got cell phone footage and some other things in here that scared me more than anything I've seen put on screen in a documentary like this. It was just amazing Thank God so many people got through it. Unfortunately, hopefully God's with those who didn't get through it. This is, for those of you who are storm junkies, you got to check this out over on Netflix.
Well, what I remember, so I don't know if you remember this, but is there one thing, if I were to ask you, is there one thing that jumps out at you from that whole event that sticks in your memory?
Yes, but it's because a friend of mine went through it, and she was on the top part of an apartment building. She had just gotten divorced. She said she heard the freight train. She grabbed her little dog and ran and survived in the tub. It ripped the entire roof off. And when it's a quick thing. And once it's gone, she looked up, and there was no roof on the entire building, and her entire life changed.
For me, and you might remember this, and Paul, I'm guessing that they have to feature this in the movie, but there was audio. I don't even know if there was video. There was audio from inside a convenience store gas station where people had gathered, and it was incredible. Did they use that in the film that you're aware of?
That's a good question.
They have one of the people they interview was a gentleman who worked for a frozen yogurt shop, and it's that footage from inside the building as things were getting torn apart around them, and him trying to get people to safety. It's an amazing story of on top of everything else, because people had to come together. People who normally wouldn't hang out together. People who normally wouldn't give each other the time of day, but they worked together to kind of get through and come out the other side to the next year. And there's a little focus too on Joplin High School and the fact that, that whole building was gone and they had to go to school in Macy's the next year, which is just fascinating to go back and watch it. Now, some of you might have a hard time going back to watch it because, you lived some really terrible moments through it, but it is out there for those of you who want to check it out.
We are reminded quite often of Joplin just because we see hurricane damage and we see other tornadoes. But the thing that reminded me most of Joplin was the fires from earlier this year, because it was just leveling an entire neighborhood, and that's what that tornado did. Just that wide swath blew through that town, and it was quite something. All right, anything else for streaming or otherwise this weekend?
Let's mention, for those of you who haven't seen it, Wicked finally gets to Peacock. You can go ahead and take a look at that. And there's a new movie on Hulu called Odessa. That's all the more I'm going to say about it because I don't think it's worth checking out at all, 100%.
Let me make my one baseball movie recommendation. I've been going back and I've been watching some older movies. I was telling you this yesterday. I watched the Beverly Hills Cops 2 and 3 because I hadn't seen those. I watched 48 Hours this week. But you know what? I got into a little bit of a baseball mood, and I watched Bull Durham for the first time in a couple of decades, and it was awesome. I mean, it's such a great movie, and a young Kevin Costner,
you can't
Susan
beat that.
Sarandon before she was crazy politically. But I would recommend that. For those of us here in St. Louis, Paul, you might be aware of the fact that we're a little concerned about baseball season moving forward. Paul's up in Milwaukee, where they seemingly have gotten our number here the last couple of days. But Bull Durham is a great baseball movie. Highly recommended if you haven't seen it in a while.
Love it.
Yeah, any of those movies from that era. Now, the question for you, Mark, is after seeing Bull Durham again, could they have made that movie today?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? Okay,
Yeah, because,
I don't remember.
Because it focuses on, the minor leagues. Here's what I will tell you, and I told Sue, like 48 Hours, watching 48 Hours with Nick Nolte's character, that was kind of jarring, And I wonder if they can make a movie like that these days.
You imagine from those days gone by, and we've all lived through it, when the PG rating turned to PG-13, the movies that we saw as youths that were PG-rated.
Youths.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, my cousin Vinny.
Youths. I watched My Cousin Vinny this week. I had to throw that out there for that fact. But, yeah, no, I did go back to My Cousin Vinny this week, actually, with, Marissa Tomei is 60 years old this year.
Wow.
As am I, unfortunately. And she goes back
You
to...
both look great.
I go way back to... I always get this confused. I think she was on As the World Turns. I watched General Hospital and As the World Turns. Meg Ryan was on General Hospital. I think Marissa Tomei was on As the World Turns, if I'm not mistaken.
Rick Springfield was on General Hospital.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely.
Good times.
Paul, tell folks where they can find your review.
Her boyfriend, Joe Pesci, on My Cousin Vinny, 82 this year. So, yeah, 22-year-old gaps. We have a lot of those, right?
Tell folks where they can find your reviews.
Find everything.
Tell folks where they can find your reviews, Paul.
CommonGuy.com.
All right, thank you very much. Sorry, it's a little hard to hear here at the Fish Fries, so the communication's not quite as easy as it is in the studio. Thank you, Paul Hall. We'll come back with Cusumano. He was in Wichita for the loss last night. I think he's back. I guess we have to talk about this, but some great Blues news, a great victory last night. Scotty Warman's going to chat on that also in the 5 o'clock hour. Coming back from Assumption Parish in a moment.
traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads this afternoon, we've got a little bit of volume. Now, some of it is westbound 70. It's mainly moderate. Highway 79. Eastbound, though, there was an accident at Wentzville, and that caused a delay behind it. At one point, back past Forestel. Now, if you're just taking 6440 out of downtown, the usual volume, moderate volume, Kings Highway out through McCausland, slowing at N, moderate volume out through the 70 split. Now, southbound 270, we had a couple of accidents really near 21, and it's just left us with some volume from just south of Manchester down through 21. 55 southbound slowing, mainly kind of southern part of Arsenal down through Bates, and then it opens up. If you're headed in from Illinois, there's some volume on the Poplar Street Bridge as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic, 445 and 97.1 FM Talk.
Sue, look, there were people taking pictures of me, and I was very concerned because I had my reading glasses on. Do they not know the rules about pictures? I can't have my reading glasses on. That's not allowed, Sue. I will just tell you that. We're going to have them sign something. All right. We had Bob Kershaw in a couple of days ago from the Retirement Advisory Group. They are great sponsors of my show, Marks and Annie's, as well, which is why we get together with them 5 times a year in person at the St. Louis Hilton Frontenac. We're going to be there again. I can't believe it's coming up next Tuesday night at 6:30 p.m. We just need to know that you're coming. These are free events, but if you RSVP, and you can easily do that on the website, you can go to retirementkey.com or call 314-993-9494. You don't need an explanation of why this is important. If you've just paid attention to the economy or the stock market, there are things going on that are making investors a little uneasy. What does that mean for your retirement portfolio? And how can you make sure that you don't lose your principal? They'll guide you into these strategies. The key is safely linking to the market. Come on in and join us next Tuesday night and register today at retirementkey.com or call 993-9494. And we'll see you at the St. Louis Hilton Frontenac next week. More of the Mark Reardon Show live at Fish Fry Fridays at Assumption Parish coming up.
And a lot of people, when they come in, they'll say, I'm usually much more active, but since I've been in pain, I've had to limit the activities I'm doing.
You're listening to Janelle, an arch support specialist at the Good Feet store.
So he came in and he wanted to be able to keep up, play sports with his kids. And from there, we figure out which arch supports complement those activities. I fit him with the arch supports, and as I followed up with him, he's messaged me and said, I took my kids to the park today. We're walking, we're exercising, riding the bikes, and those are all things that he wasn't doing before because he was in pain.
For over 25 years, the Good Feet store's arch support specialists have been helping folks to live the life they love without foot, knee, hip, or back pain getting in the way.
Our goal is to have that long-term change for them. That's what's most important, is knowing that you leave an impact on someone's life. And I like that.
Try them for yourself. Stop in for a free personalized fitting and test walk at the Good Feet store.
Visit one of our 2 locations, Creve Coeur and Shiloh, Illinois, and at goodfeet.com.
Hi, I'm Brad Keselowski, driver of the number 2 Discount Tire Ford Mustang. Did you know one of the most important keys to success on the track and for safe driving on the road is having the right pressure in your tires? Properly inflated tires are essential to help you get the best gas mileage and keep you driving safely. Check your tire pressure at least once a month or stop by your local tire retailer for an air check.
A message from the U.S. Tire Manufacturers Association.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
It's 4:49. We'll be back with the Mark Reardon Show right after this.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Mark's back Monday. Let's hope Kentucky wins so we don't have to hear him gripe. At 6:20, Hans von Spakovsky from Heritage on Republicans trying to impeach federal judges blocking Trump.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9.
.449, I like this song from Almost Monday called She Likes Sports. We're going to segue into Frank Cusumano, who, Frank, I guess the only good news is you can now go to the Kill Meat event tomorrow night, right?
Yes. I got a call from our mutual friend, Jeff Drew. You're in, correct? Like with about 2 minutes left to go in the game. I said yes.
Frank, I don't even know what to say. And I guess part of me says I should have been smarter about my expectations because if we're being honest, They did not end the season well, 4 out of 6 losses. They didn't look good even last weekend, so maybe this is exactly what we should have expected. But it was such a disappointment, and as a Mizzou alum and fan for 40-plus years now, it just rips your heart out because we remember Xavier from the mid-'80s. We remember Northern Iowa, certainly Norfolk State. It just seems like it happens all the time, and it's left me in a very crabby mood today, Frank. That's all I'll say. Your thoughts?
Well, you should. I just want to say one thing. No one's going to feel this way because we're all ticked off about Mizzou, but there is a part of it that you should embrace in that we saw a bunch of Missouri kids that were D2, not good enough to go Division I, who play the game the right way, who are committed and loyal and passionate and love their coach. I mean, that's the way basketball should be. Now let's get to the angry stuff. I mean, I thought it was almost impossible for every player to lay an egg the same night. They did. They did lay an egg.
They did.
I mean, they shot 33% from the field. They turned the ball over 17 times, and they were just terrible. And, it's interesting because March 1st was the Vandy game, so as soon as they hit the month of March, that's when the slide started to happen. And it is. I wouldn't say it's embarrassing, but it's disheartening.
It is. And, let me just say, because I did say this at the beginning of the show, all respect to Drake and what you just said and the preparation and the skills and the coaching. I think there was a little out-coaching last night. But these things happen, and you're going to have upsets in the NCAA tournament. They just seem to happen in Missouri more often. Anything of note at the tournament today?
I'll tell you, there's some interesting stuff going on. Ole Miss is leading Carolina by 13. Maryland's blowing out Grand Canyon. Baylor's beat Mississippi State. Alabama had a tough time with Robert Morris, but won the game. I think there's some great games tonight, though, with Colorado State and Memphis. And then the game I'm really looking forward to is Oklahoma and UConn.
Yeah, I think Memphis might have lost to Colorado State earlier. Just that one might have actually wrapped up. But let's talk about the Blues, because that was immensely exciting last night. And, Frank, you've chronicled this whole season up and down and up and down. It's looking very up right now.
It's unbelievable. Ever since the Four Nations face-off happened, the Blues have taken off. And last night, for the first time, Mark, since November 6th, they are now in the playoffs. That's the good news. The bad news is there's 4 teams separated by 4 points with 12 to 13 games remaining. The bottom line is this, though. It looks like a team that just won't lose. They just won't lose. Like tomorrow, I'd bet the mortgage they're going to beat the Blackhawks. They're playing a style that Jim Montgomery instilled during that 4 or 5 day break where he almost had a mini training camp, and they're just playing their best hockey of the year.
Hey, Frank, Ethan here. You walked right into that question I was about to ask about. What does this say about the work that Jim Montgomery has done with this team? He didn't have that preseason time to kind of get his philosophy out there, but clearly he took advantage of that time, and everything is firing on all cylinders right now.
Yeah, and Ethan, I don't know if you remember, but that very first practice, when they started after the Four Nations break, they had this incident where it was Korchenko, and he hit Buchnevich like it was a playoff hit. I mean, just smashed him. And everybody stopped for a second, and then Buchnevich got up, and he kind of smiled. And last Saturday night, Coach Montgomery said that hit and that practice set the tone for how serious we were going to be as a hockey team.
I love that. That's some great insight there. I hesitate to bring up the last topic, but I'll mention the name Sonny Gray.
Uh-oh.
Oh, my
Ouch.
gosh. Just
Frank.
another brutal outing. Just
right?
It's unbelievable. But here's the thing, Mark, and I think I've told you this before. When these star pitchers get rocked in spring training, they simply say, well, I was working on something. Well, he's been rocked every time out. So the confidence level for him for opening day is not great. But on the positive side, Michael McGreevy was a split squad game. He went 5 scoreless innings, and his ERA is now 1. Here's the thing, and I'm really passionate about this. If the Cardinals are going to say all offseason that we're doing a reset, and Michael McGreevy, this young pitcher, just had a magnificent spring, and he's not in the rotation, then this whole reset thing is bogus. If you're resetting, then you go with your young pitcher who happens to be your best pitcher on the staff during the spring.
Yeah, and how about Victor Scott? Didn't he hit another one today?
He did, and I think he's going to be the starting center fielder opening day. Let me tell you something. He's hitting about 300 points higher than Michael Ciani. If Michael Ciani is the opening day center fielder and Victor Scott is in Memphis, I don't know what the heck's going on.
No, I'm with you on that, and I right now don't know what the heck is going on. Cusumano, I'll see you tomorrow night at Killmeat, okay?
Really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
All right, take care. Yeah, Frank and Monique are going to be my guests with my friend Jeff Drew tomorrow night. We're very much looking forward to it. You can go to BrianKillmeat.com, by the way, and still get some tickets, or you can add on the VIP aspect there. We're going to take a break here. We're live at our fish fry in South County at Assumption Parish off of Mattis Road. Next week at Queen of All Saints, the line is out the door and long, and the fish is a-frying out here. We're coming back with a great story of a New Zealand resident who became a U.S. citizen. You're not going to want to miss Hank Lina's story. It's coming up.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Not a bad Friday commute. Now listen, we do have some volume eastbound 70 headed for Wentzville. There was an earlier accident there. Westbound 70 out of downtown, a little slow near Kings Highway, and then some volume out at 79, but it's just moderate. Now 6440, it's lined up. But it's the usual. So Hampton out through McCausland, and then Highway N out through the 70 split. We've got southbound 270 with mainly moderate volume. It's south of Manchester down through 21, and a little bit of slow-moving traffic, especially westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. But eastbound has a little bit of moderate volume as well. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic. It's 4:56 at 97.1 FM Talk.
Brought to you by Volley.
Volley.
Level up game night with Volley, the smart TV app for playing games like Jeopardy, Wheel of Fortune, or test your knowledge with fun music quizzes and party games. Turn your TV into the ultimate game hub with the Volley app on your Roku or Fire TV. Download it and play today.
Volley.
Do you ever wonder if you've saved enough money to retire? Because most of us have some saved, right? Just a little bit of something, maybe more than something. Maybe you've been good about it. But now what do? Do you have a plan? And I, of course, just like to have all the information before I make decisions. And there is a 3-hour adult education class called Retirement Planning 101. It's a one-night class taught by a fiduciary advisor from Financial and Tax Architects. And they hold these things at colleges and libraries throughout St. Louis. You learn about everything you need to know. How do I reduce my taxes in retirement? How do I maximize my Social Security? All of that. And they do it for free, but they ask that you bring 3 canned goods for the St. Louis Crisis Nursery. There are a handful of openings left for classes this month, so just give it a shot. Register. Call 314-947-2012, 314-947-2012.
COVID-19 changed a lot of things, including how much Missouri spends on education. Missouri school districts received almost $3 billion in extra federal money in the last 3 years. But now that pandemic federal assistance is ending. So will the state go back to pre-pandemic spending? Apparently not. The president of the Missouri State Board of Education has said we'll need the mother of all supplemental budgets to cover the drop in revenue. Does that mean taxpayers will have to make up the difference? Experts warned not to consider the federal pandemic money as permanent. So shouldn't education officials have been ready? Why not just go back to pre-pandemic spending? Student enrollment in Missouri has been dropping and will continue to drop. Missourians need a new mindset about public education spending, from more to targeted, effective, and student-based. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
Did you get a call or message that mentioned Social Security that made you feel threatened or scared? That is not the Social Security Administration. Social Security will not threaten you, press you for personal information, or demand instant payment. Social Security does not accept payments by gift card, prepaid debit card, internet currency, or by mailing cash. Criminals use these forms of payment because they are hard to trace. Don't fall for it. Hang up Ignore them. Report this criminal activity to oig.ssa.gov.
Produced at U.S. taxpayer expense.
Brian Kilmeade here, and I'll be there on Saturday, March 22nd. Jot that down at the Factory in Chesterfield in this engaging motivational journey through America's past. Tickets available at 971talk.com/events.
Sponsored by Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group.
For all KFDK contest rules, go to 971talk.com. That's 971talk.com.
You're listening to The Mark Reardon Show. KFTK FM Florissant from the Kaufman Townsley St. Louis's Injury Lawyers Studio. Call 314-500-5000.
That's 314-500-5000.
All on the free Odyssey app.
Deportation controversy. I'm Tom Graham, Fox News. Another wanted member of the notorious Venezuelan Tren Agua gang has been arrested in Florida under the 18th century era Alien Enemies Act. President Trump citing the controversial measure to speed up foreign gang member deportations. Acting ICE Director Todd M. Lyon says they've captured nearly 70 so far.
Many of these members are cold-blooded killers, rapists, thieves, drug traffickers, weapons traffickers, and human traffickers.
The deportation effort is not without controversy. Federal Judge James Boasberg accused the Trump administration of not being forthcoming. Today, he called the use of the Alien Enemies Act incredibly troublesome during a hearing. Previously, President Trump also weighed in.
They're tough people. They're bad people. We don't want them in our country. We can't let a judge say that he wants them. You know, he didn't run for president. He didn't get much more than 80 million votes. And we just can't let that happen. It'd be so bad for our country.
And he's called for the judge's impeachment. President Trump Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth announcing a new contract aimed at upgrading the Air Force's fighter jets.
Boeing won an initial $20 billion contract to build the next generation of fighters, the F-47, with stealth and penetration capabilities exceeding anything currently in the Air Force fleet.
There's never been anything even close to it, from speed to maneuverability to what it can have to payload.
President Trump announced the award in the Oval Office alongside Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth.
We will be able to project power around the globe unimpeded for generations to come.
The president says much of the F-47's capabilities will remain secret, but says it has been in testing for several years. At the White House, Jared Halpern, Fox News.
London's Heathrow Airport ramping back up flights after a nearby fire forced its closure earlier today. More than 1,300 flights were canceled, stranding international travelers at Europe's busiest airport. America's listening to Fox News.
Oh no, stomach issues again?
Stomach issues? Who are you? Your pancreas. I could be the real reason for your diarrhea, gas, bloating, stomach pain, or loose oily stools.
I thought it was my stomach.
People often do, but any of these symptoms could mean having a condition called exocrine pancreatic insufficiency, or EPI. With EPI, the pancreas doesn't release enough enzymes to break down food, but EPI is manageable. Use the symptom checker on identifyepi.com and speak with your doctor. That's identifyepi.com. Sponsored by AbbVie.
It's tax season, and at LifeLock, we know you're tired of numbers. But this one you need to hear. $16.5 billion. That's how much money in refunds the IRS flagged for possible identity fraud last year. Now, here's a good number. $100 million. That's how many data points LifeLock monitors every second. If your identity is stolen, we'll fix it guaranteed. Oh, one last number. Save up to 40% your first year with promo code NEWS. Visit LifeLock.com for the threats you can't control. Terms apply.
Air Comfort Service, heating, cooling, and insulation. Weather.
Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Partly sunny skies, wind gust up to 40 miles per hour. Temperature 67, a lot of dust, smoke, pollen, and a high fire danger into the evening. Tonight, clear skies, evening temperatures drop into the 50s, 39 for the low. Saturday, sunny, 59. Sunday, morning showers, otherwise lots of clouds, and 65. This is 97.1 FM Talk. Chief Meteorologist Dave Murray.
Step outside and fall in love with your backyard again. From inviting porch overhangs to durable composite decks and cozy screen rooms, Lakeside Renovation and Design creates stunning outdoor living spaces designed for relaxation, entertaining, and making memories. With expert craftsmanship and top-quality materials, your new outdoor oasis will be perfect for every season. Call Lakeside Renovation and Design today or visit lakesiderd.com to get started. Let's turn your backyard into the retreat you've always dreamed of.
Hi, this is Steve Butts with the Crawford Butts Insurance Agency. I know we're all experiencing sticker shock when you get your insurance premium. Now more than ever, you need an independent insurance agent to find the best value for your family's insurance needs. Crawford Butts, family owned and operated for more than 60 years. Please give us a call at 314-752-2500 or at crawfordbutts.com.
We, without hesitation, recommend that anybody work with ThrottleNet. The experience will be as good as it's been for us, for anybody, because you'll get a true partnership and you'll be able to rest easy that you're going to get the service that you need while they're also doing all those things that you don't want to have to think about, that you don't want to have to worry about. They're always doing that in the background for you.
Don't wait for your next IT crisis. If your business depends on technology, you need a partner that's got your back. Contact ThrottleNet.com to get a free IT evaluation and see how we can support your IT everything.
Annie Fry here. If you're nearing retirement or already retired, call my friends Thomas Helbig and Bob Kershaw with the Retirement Advisory Group. They'll show you how linking to the market is much safer than owning the market for your retirement savings. They are the official financial advisors of my show. Go to retirementkey.com.
It's time for a $98 AC tune-up.
It's 5:05. We'll get back to the Mark Reardon Show live at Assumption, Paris. Next, this time check brought to you by Jerry Kelly.
Brian Kilmeade here, and I'll be there on Saturday, March 22nd. Jot that down, at the Factory in Chesterfield, in this engaging motivational journey through America's past. Tickets available at 971talk.com/events.
Sponsored by Bob and Tammy Kershaw of the Retirement Advisory Group. This hour of the Mark Reardon Show is sponsored by Gamma Tree Experts. Your trees deserve the best care. Call Gamma Tree Experts.
Fish Fry Fridays on the Mark Reardon Show. We're at Assumption Parish in South County. I just had Peggy was just here. Did you meet her too? She's the one.
I met Peggy.
She had written me a letter. Remember, I said I had a handwritten letter from someone, and I was afraid that the person was like 95.
Correct.
Because it was handwritten.
She was not 95.
And she'd recommended this fish fry.
And she was right.
I don't know if she had influence on it, because I think maybe it was locked in before the letter, but we can make her think that she did. But she was very nice. She just came out, and she's going to be at the Kilmeade event tomorrow night.
Perfect.
We're going to have a huge crowd for that. Sue Thomas will not be there tomorrow night, though, so that might disappoint the faithful.
No one
just
cares.
a little bit. And then here's the other thing, and I'm not happy about this. Are you off Monday and Tuesday?
And Wednesday. Good times.
That is not so. Fred, this is where the host might have to feign illness on some of those days, because Fred's
You're
gone.
You're going to be fine.
Sue's gone. Ethan is stuck with me. What kind of mood do you think I'm going to be in, Ethan, next week? I'm usually in a bad mood. I'm going to be in a worse mood. We're going to talk hockey with Scotty Warmann. We'll talk a little baseball too. There's so many questions about the Cardinals, and I just got a message from Joe Arnold and Scott Jennings. Scott, of course, national treasure on CNN, talking about Michael McGreevy, who threw 5 scoreless innings of one-hit baseball against the Mets today, and he says he's yet to receive word on whether he's going to be on the roster. He should be on the roster. That was Frank's point, and we'll talk with Scotty here a little bit. Scotty wanted to come by in person. He just couldn't do it today, but he will visit us in person as we move forward with the fish fries. Sue, I'm going to hand this segment over to you for the intros, because this is an awesome story. It's an awesome American story. It's an inspirational story. It's also a love story, I would say,
It is a
right?
love story.
It really is.
Well, Hank Lina is here. Hi, Hank.
Hello.
And Melanie, his wife. Hi, Melanie.
Hi, Sue.
Melanie
You gotta
is
get
the
right up
connection
on
here,
there.
because Melanie goes way back with you.
Yeah, Melanie is a good friend of mine for quite some time. Yeah, a family friend of my in-laws, and then it just kind of spread over. And Melanie is a concert pianist. So tell me the story of how you met Hank in the airport.
Well, I was not in a concertizing position when I was doing that. I was actually home visiting the family of whom Sue speaks, and for a wonderful weekend. And I lived in Los Angeles at the time, and I had dressed comfy for this flight back home on a Saturday night, and there was Hank. So we sat together on the flight. He arranged that. It was very
Is
smooth.
that true, Hank?
This is very true.
Really?
Persuasion.
What, did you have to bribe a flight attendant or something like that?
No, I told the guy sitting next to me, who was traveling with a guy sitting next to Melanie, that I had terrible winds, and that he wanted me to swap seats.
You're a smart guy, aren't you?
Yeah,
That
and he
was
did
good.
want to swap seats.
I like that. I like that.
Yeah.
And I kid you not, 4 hours later, we landed in LA, and I knew life had changed. I didn't know how it was all going to play out, but
You just
it
knew,
was
though.
wonderful. I did.
Yeah.
We both did, and it was wonderful. And Hank, as the typical Kiwi, had booked himself into a motel in a very bad area of LA, but he survived. And we had our first date the next evening in Santa Monica. He wanted to see LA, and before flying home to New Zealand. And so we had 3 dates. It wasn't as if we just met, and then we had to part. And a year later, we married. So it was.
So we're gonna share. The story's gonna evolve into how Hank became a United States citizen. But I don't want to skip over some of the details here because I think this is fascinating. What were you doing in New Zealand at the time?
So I dropped out of school when I was 15.
He was homeless. Okay, Melanie, I don't know why you went with him. Go ahead.
No, I became a dairy farmer at a young age, and from then I learned all about breeding cattle, and I was fascinated by that, and I learned how to artificially breed cattle, and I went off into that industry where I stayed right up until we came to live here in the States. So, yeah. I know last time we spoke, you were fascinated by the bull sperm subject.
I was, yes.
Yeah, so
because you don't get to talk about bull sperm very often on the radio.
No,
you know? Especially at a fish fry.
Especially not.
Yeah, thanks for that.
Yes, but this was an important part of your upbringing, right?
Yeah. It was a fun career, and I met Melanie, and had to tell her I was doing that. I asked her if she wanted to look at some of my sperm albums, but she didn't really want
what
to.
was your response to that? That had to be. He was being funny, though,
well,
right?
I tell you what, that flight was very educational because never in my life had I thought, how do all these cows stay pregnant to produce milk?
Right.
I mean, it was fascinating. It was a whole nother. I grew up rurally, but not in a farming family.
It is interesting though because we all, drink the milk and eat the meat, and then we don't think about some of these things, and it's a process, right?
It made me more real to think about things like this.
But you knew also, you knew life was changing. It was.
Yeah, I did, and I was getting a little bit tired of my industry. I'd been in it for a long time, since I was 15, and so change was in the air, and I was finding a lot in myself that I could do better in a different career. So it was easy to leave that industry.
So did you really drop? You said you dropped out of school. You really did drop out of school?
I was. You could leave school when you were 15 in New Zealand, and we used to get people coming to talk at school about leave school and join the Navy, join the Army, join the forestry, go farming. Mm-hmm. So I decided at the start of the year to go and see who my teachers were, and I did that, and I didn't like any of them, so I left, and I joined the dairy farming industry and worked hard,
But that was probably something, it wasn't, in that culture, it wasn't uncommon for that, right?
Not at all, not at all. So my sisters, they went to teachers college and university, and they were nerds, The rest of us were hard-working people. So yeah, it was very normal for what I did at the time. And I have no regrets. They talk about the school of hard knocks. I don't like that term, but I did go through it.
Yeah.
And you learn a lot. And my only regret is it wasn't until a really old age that I really realised I had some pretty awesome skills that I'd never been had enough courage to actually step out
and
and
we're
use.
gonna get to some of that in a second. But I'm also fascinated by being a concert pianist. So what were you, I'm just curious because I don't know this. What you were living in LA at the time, or what was going on?
Yeah, I had 4 really fun years in LA. This was 2006 through 10. Met Hank in fall of 2009. And I had a full teaching studio. I was doing soundtracks. It was the whole bit, and loved it. And then when we moved to New Zealand, my career blossomed even more because there aren't as many of us over there. It's a very good musical culture, but there's more to do because there just aren't as many musicians.
So at first you guys are hanging out. You moved to New Zealand. You moved there.
Oh yeah.
Well, we got engaged in April, and then our wedding was in November, and I moved out 2 weeks before the wedding. I left. I put all my belongings in a container, and didn't think anything of it. I just knew it was right, and I came, and we started out with borrowed furniture, some of my furniture, because Hank had been all over the world at that point and was starting fresh, and it was an adventure.
So then what brings you back to St. Louis? And that's where we kind of get the story, and we want to talk about how you became a United States citizen as well. But when did you come back here? What year? What was the time frame?
August. Hank arrived in the middle of COVID season.
And this plays a big role.
May,
here. COVID plays a big role in all this,
May
right?
of 2020.
Okay. Yeah. Now, we talked about this when we had you on before, but look, I could play this audio sometimes from Australia and New Zealand. I was horrified. I'm like, wait, what are they doing? They're essentially locking people. I mean, we were doing things that were bad enough in this country, and I think we realize that now. But it was really extreme in New Zealand, wasn't it?
It very much was. And the government removed our Bill of Rights. And that really hurt, and it meant the police didn't have to have a warrant to come into your house because it could be you had guests and you could have been harbouring COVID and spreading it amongst each other. So,
and did that happen to people you knew, Hank?
Not anyone close to me, but yeah, it was happening everywhere.
Yeah. It happened after we left.
I can remember our spouting or guttering, what do you call it, was leaking, and I had to get a ladder. So I bought a ladder on eBay, and I had to drive across the city to get this ladder. The police followed me.
Oh my gosh.
And I was thinking, I'm not going to get that ladder home. They're going to stop me. But I got home and I got my gutter repaired because you couldn't get servicemen.
See, this is where, a story like this should put our freedom into perspective.
Yes.
Because I've long said, and I think we realize this, especially those of us at a certain age, that we take these freedoms for granted. I would love for my children, my adult children, my daughter too, to hear your story, because I think hearing a real story like this and what happened to people and how you were able to, at that point, kind of draw comparisons to what you have here with freedom, right?
Yeah.
So and then there was the Army watch if you even were allowed to return to New Zealand as a citizen. I mean, we have the right here at any time, wherever we are in the world, to come home. And they were barring, there was a story about a pregnant woman who wanted to come home to New Zealand and
they
give
wouldn't
birth.
let her?
Nope. And then if you were let in, you had to pay upwards over $3,000 to stay in a hotel for 2 or 3 weeks. And the Army,
Quarantine.
and this we have personal experience with, our friend in Missouri, our Kiwi friend, went home, had to do that. The Army were by their hotel room doors, not letting them in or out. That's
holy cow.
Before we get to the other part of the story here, but are there lingering, they have people in New Zealand, do they just accept this at this point? Are they harboring a lot of feelings from what happened then?
Well, I hate to say it, but there were an awful lot of New Zealanders, probably the grand majority, that really supported it all.
I believe it. I know. That's one of the things I talked about. I remember we would point that out. I'm like, people support this. I was baffled by that.
Yeah, but New Zealanders used to the fact they're an island, a long way from anywhere. And most things that happen, the great saying in New Zealand is, she'll be right, mate. It means it'll be okay. And this was another case of, she'll be right. You can lock up for a couple of weeks. We don't want COVID. She'll be right. And if I can just jump ahead, I went back to New Zealand a couple of years ago on New Year's Eve because my brother-in-law has no heartbeat in his feet because he's got all these blood clots, which they say from all the booster shots could happen.
Right.
And they didn't really want me there because I was unvaccinated. And I said, I'm coming. I'm going to hug you all. I don't care if you give me COVID. I don't care if I give you COVID. And I did. And guess what? I didn't get COVID, but 18 of the 22 got COVID while I was there. And because New Zealand had been shut up for so long, everybody's immunity was gone. And so the common cold and
part of the
flu
problem,
and
right?
Wow. It was rife.
Doctors will tell you that, look, that's part of what's happening even with these kids now.
Yeah.
We went so far in the other direction that everyone's so susceptible to that. All right, so you decide then at what point that you want to become a United States citizen.
So I came here, and what really inspired me was the fact that everybody has such an amazing opportunity here to do anything you like. And it's not like you got these packages that the government give you handouts. It's the fact that if you have an idea and you run with it and you can get support from other people, they really support you. And you can let yourself grow, and you can grow your ideas. And I'm doing it now. I'm getting support back from people that are just helping me grow my business out of compassion, and they can see the motivation that I have. So we didn't have that in New Zealand, and I think Australia as well. If you have an idea, too many people have already probably done it, especially what I'm doing. And it doesn't matter how motivated you are. There are too many other go-getters there. I'm not saying there's not go-getters here, but it's hard to explain. But I just feel here in the States, when you get established, you can do anything you like.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to buy another house, do it. And if you want to keep a bit of cash, do it. And everybody wants you to succeed.
Just go buy a Tesla. That's where you cross the line if you buy a Tesla, just so you know. But we really have, I want you to talk about the business, because maybe for people who don't know the story, you have a coffee truck, right?
Yeah. Well, I've got a huge hammer, and I've never been able to use it, and I'll get a Tesla. I'm only kidding.
No, I get it. But let's talk about the business, because that's been remarkable. How did that all start?
So I climbed that big career ladder in New Zealand, and Melanie stood behind me all the way beautifully, and she came here, and she's now in the corporate world herself a little bit, and I decided I could see you, she's going to go, I'm going to stand behind you, and I'm too young to retire, too tired to start. I mean, I had to do something.
Right.
Actually, it goes, I'm too young to retire, too old to have an affair, and too tired to really care. So I decided I could do something, and I wanted to make a brand. I didn't have a product in mind. And my brand,
you really didn't?
No. I sort of had coffee a little bit in mind, but I wanted to have a brand where I could show good values and be upright and be honest and show morals. Because if there's anything lacking here in young people, that's it.
Yes.
You know,
yes.
And you're not allowed to give them a slap around the back of the head anymore because you get in a lot of trouble. So I just want to illustrate being good and being right, how that works. And I found the coffee was a great, way in. And coffee's changing here from the old black coffee to your cappuccinos and fancy coffees, and it's growing. So it's a good time to jump in that industry. And I got a really good little brand, Just as in Just Upright. I got a courthouse in my logo. And then I just coined the phrase serving the deserving. So, and that's what I do. So, for example, yesterday I was at the tornado scene in Villa Ridge. I gave everybody their coffee for free just because if anyone deserved it this week, it was them.
Yep.
And what happens then? They all give you donations, because people see me doing something proactively. So it didn't really cost me anything, although we're going to use that money to buy shoes and jeans for some of those kids out there. So,
well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and that's really, I think, a unique part of what you do is the personal connections that you're making. Like even when, and Sue, you mentioned this too, when you were on the air with us first time, you had a bunch of people that came out and said hi, right?
Yeah. From my first interview, I had a lot of people. I had one guy drive from Grafton.
Oh,
not Grafton, sorry, Alton.
Alton.
Drove
difference.
all the way over to shake my hand and to thank
gosh.
to thank me for my story. And and I've had other people that have asked me to send the recording, plenty of them.
Oh, that's really nice.
And to try and get.
Have we got any royalties from that yet?
No.
I'm just trying to check.
Here's a question I have. How long were you here, Hank, before you thought, okay, I'm going to do it and become an American citizen?
The day I got here.
Really?
Pretty well. I fell into that groove straight away, and I just thought, if I'm going to do something, I want to do something. I'm capable of doing good things, but it feels a bit foreign doing it if you are foreign.
Yeah.
If I'm going to give my heart and soul to this country, I may as well be American. And so I went ahead and went through that whole process of getting a green card.
How dare you try to assimilate into our country, Hank, Lina? What are we thinking there?
How was the process?
Yeah,
Was it
the process is
lengthy and good?
It was a lot of paperwork. We had, fortunately through my employer, we had a lawyer and an immigration lawyer help and do all the forms. And
for the green card.
For the green card. The green card was the hardest part.
It was?
Oh, yeah. And that's where I had to get my venereal disease tests, gonorrhea and syphilis and chlamydia and all that
Another
good
great
stuff.
thing to talk about at a fish fry.
Exactly.
And
apparently that comes from an old sailors when we had sailing stuff, and it still exists.
I had to go through and get all my school immunizations again, and I didn't cry, but I nearly did. And finally, you had to go to, I had to go all the way down into Arkansas to give my fingerprints. And
why'd you have to go to Arkansas?
Why?
Oh, that's where you're designated.
We were living in Southwest Missouri at that time.
All right. Closest one.
And toing and froing, and finally get the green card. And then after you've had the green card for so many years, you can apply for naturalization. And I said last time, the guy that gave me my green card said, Hank, I'm giving you a 10-year green card because with that you're entitled to become an American citizen after 3 years, and we need you to vote. So do it.
Oh, wow.
I didn't quite make it in time, but I'll get to do the midterms. But then the actual naturalization was just one application. You pay your $700, and then you have an interview where you're given a test of 10 questions. You have to get 7 of them right, and they're on
an oral quiz.
Yeah,
okay.
American history, American government, and state government, and they only asked me 7 questions, and they said you've got them right, so pretty good. But then they ask you another 30 questions if you hand up. Like, have you smuggled children? Have you smuggled across the border? Have you been married to 2 women at the same time? And they freaked me out.
How'd you answer that one, just out of
I
curiosity?
just said no, because that would mean 2 mother-in-laws.
Oh, yeah, you don't want that.
Don't want that, and lots and lots of pretty intimidating questions, and
many of them about national safety.
Safety,
okay.
yeah.
National security questions,
they were quite pointed.
Right.
My favourite one was, have you plotted to overthrow a government? I answered, if I did, you'd know me.
Right.
So, but I was thinking, with all these people flooding over the border at the time, it was at the height of it in the media, I was thinking, what if I answered yes to one of these questions and they don't give me my citizenship? It felt wrong.
Yeah.
But, right. I did pass and I did become American. I did stand there in the courtroom and stoic and solid and fought back the tears like anything. And then I looked at Melanie and she was bawling her eyes out.
Oh my gosh, it makes me teary now.
Yeah.
Melanie, explain explain your emotions, because it's a look. I put it this way a couple of times recently, because we've talked about this immigration issue. But 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, I was at Busch Stadium, and they had 20 people who went through the process, and we all cheered. And I felt emotional. We're proud of these moments when you do this and you put the work in, right?
Well, we all know what America means, and when you bring people in who are truly grateful for the privileges we enjoy every day, it's a sense of belonging, and it's a sense of welcoming people who are going to make a difference to our country,
right?
And who are sincere and genuine. And so it was a moment of great gratitude for me to see Hank do that. I admired him for doing it. We're part of an online group of Kiwis who are living in America.
Okay.
And a lot of them just go for years and years and years on their green card, and the occasional question pops up, should I get my citizenship? And I'm just so proud of my husband for saying, I love this country. Part of it, I'm sure, has to do with being married to an American, but a whole other part of it is just the fact that he loves our core values,
right?
The values of the founding fathers, and wants those to continue.
I think a fair number of us feel that way, and not everybody right now, but it is an amazing story. So let's guide people in, though, if they want to meet you or find the coffee truck. It's typically in Washington, right?
Correct,
Washington,
yeah.
Missouri,
Just
to be clear.
Just Hanks.
5 out of 7 days, it's in Washington.
In Washington. The other 2 days are in New Haven. Mercy Hospital in Washington like us to park outside their main entrance, where I take coffee to all the nurses every Wednesday. But the public are welcome to come then as well. And for the most, we're just in the VFW parking lot the remainder of the week. But very soon we'll have a second trailer, and we'll have new locations, but we'll advertise them well. But the main thing is my phone number's on our Facebook page, and if anyone wants to know where I am, just call or text me. Preferably call, because texting is, I'm 62, I'm not into it.
Most people, I think, like texting. Is there a concert piano on top of the truck by any chance, Melanie? That seems like an opportunity there.
The trailer wouldn't hold the weight.
So what happened to your career, though? Are you still playing music?
I do. I have a concert at East Central College on April 11th, if anyone would like to come, Friday afternoon. I do, but I realized after very intense years, since I was 6 years old, of doing this at a very high level, that there was more to life, and I missed contact with people outside of the music world. And so, yes, I now have an advertising and marketing coordinator position with a home improvement store, family-owned home improvement store with 9 stores around the U.S.
That's
and
amazing.
I do that.
Look at that. That's another great entrepreneurial story, right?
But I can, they understand my life. They understand the support I provide to Hank. They understand my teaching career, which I still have a wonderful group of students down there in Franklin County, and my performing life, and so it all works together.
Hank, Lina, have you ever heard, I'm going to maybe familiarize you with an American term,
here we
American
go.
phrase. Have you ever heard the term outkicked your coverage? Because you, my friend, have outkicked your coverage here with this lovely woman. You know that, right?
Is that good?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay.
It's
All right.
really, really good. She's
Thank you.
amazing.
Yeah.
So do you have conversations about the process, about your feelings with folks back home in New Zealand? Does that come up with family, or is it just you've moved on and they're
Moved
just
on,
kind of back in New
pretty
Zealand?
much. I
Do
hope
they
that-
understand it at all, or do they not?
No, I hope
Okay.
they're listening. They tend to think anything in America is bad. And
Really?
And a lot of New Zealanders like that. And they don't stop to look a little further past their nose. And it all, I hate to say it, but when Trump was a celebrity on You're Fired, he was portrayed as a bad guy, and people they don't change how they see that.
Oh, well, that makes sense.
And typically over there in that little island a long way away, they don't need to bother to study, and they've just got, first opinions last, and that's it. America's been tarred with their brush. And my family think I'm nuts coming here to live.
Which
and so it
amazes
makes me even more proud to be an American citizen.
Yeah, and I always said to New Zealanders when I lived there, when we lived there for 10 years, I've tried to bring the best of America to New Zealand. And that's what we're doing here. We're bringing the best of New Zealand to America. And it's, but everyone just has to meet. I'd say if more New Zealanders had contact with true Americans, they'd have a better understanding.
Do you know who my friend Phil Kogan is? He's the host of the show The Amazing Race. He's a Kiwi. He's a very proud New Zealander. His mom and dad still live there. I've got to meet them before. His dad is phenomenal. He really is. I think his mom and dad just celebrated their 60th wedding anniversary. Is that not amazing?
Yeah.
Unbelievable. But he's a big fan of America as well, Phil Kogan. He's done pretty well here for sure. But it's certainly, New Zealand's on my travel list. It's just the Didn't we just
flight,
talk to someone who
the
was
flight
just there?
is a little lengthy. Is it how far? How many hours in the plane?
Oh, it's 13 from LA.
Oh, that's not horrible. It's
No,
better
and
than Japan.
They treat you beautifully on the
And-
flight. You
Do
know?
they?
Yeah.
The best thing is, though, most flights leave here around 10 at night, and you used to arrive in New Zealand at 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning. It's just like the next day,
Right.
and you just, off you go.
Sold.
And you,
Except
yeah,
you've missed
and-
24 hours of sleep or something like that.
Well, I left on New Year's Eve, and I arrived in New Zealand 13 hours later, and it was the 2nd of January.
Yeah, isn't that weird? I know, that's funny.
Another time I flew home on the eve of Father's Day, and my daughter was flying with me, and when we arrived in Auckland, New Zealand, Father's Day was yesterday, so she got away
That
with
is
it altogether.
bizarre.
Yeah.
No, everyone
you-
should go. It's a
beautiful
beautiful place,
country.
lovely people.
Hank, are you a sports fan at all?
I'm a rugby
Rugby
fan, and
I don't know if
I'm
you got drawn into any of our sports here.
I really enjoy going to a live baseball game, and I'm trying my hardest to really love a football game, but having loved rugby that flows from kickoff.
Now, I'll bring you
Yeah.
over. You come over to my house on a Sunday next fall. We'll convert you. My
All right.
wife and my daughter and I. We'll get you.
Yeah.
Can you wear a Green Bay Packers hat by any
Oh,
chance?
jeez.
Hank, it's awesome to meet you in person. Melanie, that was fantastic as well. Thank you so much for sharing your story, your love story, your inspirational story, your American story. We love that. I think a lot of people listening right now have been glued to this interview because it really is awesome. Thank you
Well,
for
thank
coming
you
on and
both for
visiting.
Thank you
having
very
us.
much. It's been
Congratulations.
Thank
We'll
you
see
for
you at the
what you're
coffee truck
doing
sometime.
here
Thank
on
you
the radio.
very much. Appreciate it. We're going to take a break. Carl, we're coming back with more here. Scotty Warman's going to talk a little Blues hockey and Cardinals baseball. Coming up, it's Fish Fry Fridays on the Mark Reardon Show. We're at Assumption in South County.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Westbound 70 is completely shut down, headed out of downtown. Now, this is as you approach Kings Highway. They've got an accident clearly blocking all lanes. Emergency equipment on the scene, and we have a jam that goes back not quite, well, how about this? We'll call it past Salisbury. So if you are in that area, that is the cause of the problem. And if you are trying to get out of downtown, 64 looks a lot better. Just go that way. Out west, 70 slowing again, Lake St. Louis Boulevard through Wentzville. Eastbound is a little bit slow headed for Wentzville. And if you are headed in from Illinois, there's some volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic on 97.1 FM Talk.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Hey, let's talk about New Perspective Senior Living. This might be a good opportunity for you to take a tour. They will be there this weekend. I can't rave about this place enough because it's brand new. You're going to feel the freshness. The apartments are 1 and 2 bedroom. They're very big and luxurious, granite countertops, and you get all the amenities. They have a great meal program. It's a place where you can really enjoy the rest of your life, and that's sort of the approach that they have at New Perspective. It's a company that's from Minnesota. If you go to their website, you can learn a lot about them and even see the story of Betty. Betty had Alzheimer's. She is the inspiration. She's the mother-in-law, the founder of New Perspective. So there is a great inspirational backstory. But if you're looking for a new place that has independent living, assisted living options, and a memory care facility, New Perspective in Weldon Spring, not too far from Progress West Hospital, right next to Persimmon Woods Golf Course. And that gives you easy access to Highway 6440 as well. Check out New Perspective. Take a tour. Call them or go to the website, NP, and as in Nancy, P as in Paul, npseniorliving.com.
There's nothing like it. The crack of the bat, the roar of the crowd, and the timeless voice of Cardinals baseball.
A swing, and there's a high fly ball. That's into deep left field. It might go. It's a gunner.
Now, you can experience every pitch, every play, every win in crystal clear FM sound.
Big fly, Alec Burleson.
Starting March 24th, tune in to 104.1 FM KMOX, the voice of the Cardinals, now stronger than ever.
Don't miss Mosby Building Arts Home Improvement Show, Saturdays from 12 to 1 p.m. on 97.1. One of the last call-in shows where you can get live answers to your remodeling, design, and construction questions. Tune in Saturdays at noon.
Attention! Have you racked up $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Are you barely getting by making minimum payments? With credit card debt reaching all-time highs, National Debt Relief is notifying consumers about significant debt relief options currently being made available to help those with overwhelming credit card debt. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy or take out a consolidation loan, and you may only have to pay back a fraction of what you owe, even if you have bad credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers, so don't wait. If you owe $10,000, $20,000, or even $100,000 in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living continues to skyrocket. To check what debt reduction you may qualify for, call 800-222-9599. 800-222-9599. Again, that's 800-222-9599.
It's almost time for baseball's return to St. Louis. Get ready to watch your Cardinals take the field at Busch Stadium. From home runs and fireworks to historic plays and rising stars, there's no better way to catch Cardinals baseball than with thousands of friends, old and new, in the sea of red. Grab your tickets now to join the fun in Cardinals Nation. Visit Cardinals.com for tickets and info. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou. There is no better way to enjoy America's favorite pastime than cheering on the Cardinals with your family at Busch Stadium. From the thrill of watching the game to the kid-friendly activities, food, and fun, the ballpark has it all. Make magical memories as you cheer together for every home run, double play, and Cards win. Your family summer tradition starts here at Busch Stadium. Grab your tickets today at Cardinals.com. St. Louis Cardinals for the Lou.
Let's show our appreciation for local heroes. Mark Cox here. Nominate a first responder and their department could get lunch from Grill Master Tony's. I'll personally deliver it. Share their story at 971talk.com. Nominate them today.
Wow. I got to say, Hank doesn't even realize how good that was.
No, he doesn't either. It's just they're real people telling a story about a love of America and a love story within it. You can't beat it.
You can't beat it.
These
It's
are
like, honestly,
good people.
It's like a documentary. I could make a documentary about
it
that.
is.
It was really, and I'm so glad that they came by, and Hank is inspirational. Melanie was awesome. I told him to Google the phrase, "I'll kick your coverage." Melanie wasn't familiar with that at all. For people who don't know what that means, is like, if Ethan, who's sitting next to me right now, and I've met your lovely wife, I could probably say the same thing. If you think someone, you kind of give grief to your friend who's a guy, and you know that their wife is unbelievable, and you're like, how did you get a hold of her? You say that you've outkicked your coverage.
Well, you knew that, right?
No, I've never heard that
You've
before.
never heard it either?
No.
Okay.
You've heard it, Matt.
Matthew's
okay,
heard it.
thank
Okay,
you.
because now it's a pretty common, but you're young.
I've been told it every time.
Yeah, it's okay. Thank you. And that's probably what Ethan, now that you know it, you're probably going to hear
now
it
I know.
more
So
often.
maybe before people were saying that, and I was maybe taking it as a compliment, and now I'll know,
It's
down
still
the
a
road
compliment.
Well,
that
it's
it's
kind of a backhanded compliment.
Right. I'm with you.
Yes.
No, it's just a way to tease, that's all. Let's tease Scotty Warmann here this afternoon, who surprised us in the studio a couple of nights ago.
Yeah, that was funny.
Scared the heck out of me. We'd love to have you in person. You didn't have the ability this afternoon, but how are you?
Probably better than you.
Well, all right, let's start there. I'm angry. I'm disappointed. I'm lost. I don't know. Look, they look like crap the last 2 weeks.
I've got other Mizzou brothers and sisters, and I've done Valley basketball for years. Dude, right. Drake is a very good basketball team. Okay, so I don't think Mizzou really needs to hang their head. I know the optimism was high, but folks have to sit back. Mizzou lost 21 conference games last year. I mean, this is definitely a step in the right direction. I wish some people would at least give Drake some credit. I did earlier. I know you were listening to Sports Open Line when I was hosting when I came in the other night. Excuse me. But everything I said, even though I did think Mizzou was going to win, everything I said happened. This team plays so slow, Drake does, that it drives you crazy even as a broadcaster because you want the game to pick up. But it was a perfect form to try to beat a team that is athletic and is as good as Mizzou, and they had the turnovers, they couldn't make their shots, and they wound up losing. Hey, this could happen again tomorrow, and Drake could win again and go to the Sweet 16.
They could.
I was in a win-win situation. Mizzou was going to win or Drake was going to win, but I know Mizzou fan. Well, trust me, I've been there. When you and I grew up, Saturday was must-see TV watching Tiger basketball with Norm. I mean, I get it, and that's going to happen because I can tell you this too, Mark. I mean, I don't know if you still talk to John Reno or not, but John and I have had these conversations. Even last year when things were going bad, John's met Dennis Gates several times, and he is a true believer in Dennis Gates. Folks, Mizzou fan, have faith, man, that we're heading in the right direction.
Well, I like Coach Gates as well. And by the way, I was just talking about people who've outkicked their coverage. His wife is amazing as well. And you're right. I get you have to put this into perspective. But here's what I feel. Like, it's Rhode Island, it's Princeton, it's Northern Iowa, it's Norfolk State. It just seems to happen to us more than other teams, Scott.
Well, Kansas has had it handed to them by Northern Iowas and other teams like that, too. That's the beauty of the tournament. And my fear is we're having 14 teams from the SEC, and it's going to continue this trend, and the Cinderella is going to be gone, and so is the NCAA tournament and all of its beauty because of what? Cinderella. Unfortunately, it has been the case with Mizzou, but there are many other blue bloods out there that it's happened to as well.
Scotty Warmann is with us. Let's talk about the Blues.
I'm trying to calm you down,
No,
Mark.
I get it. I'll get through it by like 4 or 5 weeks from now.
It was a valiant effort, Scotty. We can give you that at least.
Yeah. But let's talk about what happened at Enterprise last night because the Blues are on fire right now. They needed that victory. They got the victory. They're back in action tomorrow night.
Yeah, it's huge. I mean, they're now a point ahead of everyone else, or at least Vancouver, for that 8th and final playoff spot. We talked about, this team really turned around since the break, the Four Nations tournament break, and they're just playing great. I mean, they were down 3-2, and they had the resolve, or down 2-1, I'm sorry, had the resolve, gave up the late goal. They could have just gone flat on their face, and they did it. They come back and actually get the 2 points in overtime, and they really are, Mark. They're playing terrific hockey, and I think there were a lot of Blues fans out there that thought that Colton Parayko, who arguably is their best player, when he went down with the injury a couple of weeks ago, that's probably any chance they have as they started playing well, again, after the break, that it was all over with. But they have come together as a team, and I think this has an effect of who the new head coach is. And this is no disrespect to Drew Bannister, but Jim Montgomery, I know Doug Armstrong believes, is one of the top coaches in the National Hockey League, was an assistant after he lost his job with Dallas. He became an assistant under Craig Berube for a while, got that job in Boston, and that's why I think Doug Armstrong pulled the trigger, because he knew he had the right guy to put this thing together, because this was what the Blues had wanted to do, is to get into the playoffs. They knew they weren't a Stanley Cup champion, type of team, but they at least wanted to get into the playoffs and get a taste of that while they're still trying to, bring in all these other prospects. And I think right now this is some fun hockey. I mean, the Blues are really playing some spectacular hockey, but it's got to continue. You got Chicago tomorrow, you got Nashville on Sunday, Montreal on Tuesday. Continue to take care of business because there's still a lot of hockey to be played. And sounds like to me from people I talked to that I know Jim Montgomery mentioned this the other day, that Colton Parayko could potentially be back before the end of the season, which is huge for this team.
I would say that tomorrow's night is not a game you want to drop. They've lost 6 in a row, the Blackhawks.
Yeah, they're officially out of the playoffs.
That kind of worries me. But that kind of worries me just from an odds perspective.
Here's the other thing to think about, though, is Chicago has been bad for a while, and so they've had all these high draft picks, and they're worse than the Blues. And the Blues, win a Stanley Cup. We've hit a downturn here the last couple of years, but it's almost like the Blues are turning things around so quickly, so it seems, and Chicago is just they're basically starting from scratch again, and they have one of the high, profile players in Bedard, but other than that, they really don't have anything. So, from a Blues perspective, you got to be like, hey, we're way ahead of the game compared to Chicago.
And you talk, Scotty, about a couple of maybe the guys that have helped do that this year. You talk about Doug Armstrong and his brilliance, but being able to bring over Philip Broberg and Dylan Holloway and how brilliant they have been. I think I saw a stat earlier today that said that Dylan Holloway has 48 points in 48 games since Jim Montgomery took over. I mean, they were both huge last night again with the last 2 goals of the game. You talk about speeding up that retool. They've been a huge part of that.
Oh, my gosh. I mean, they have been, Ethan, they've been such a huge part of what this team has done, even during the down times. And, yeah, that's correct, because I know on our postgame show we had on FanDuel on Tuesday, it was 46 points in 47 games. So it was a 2-point night last night for Holloway. So, yeah, 48-48 since Jimmy Montgomery has taken over. I mean, if you're an Edmonton Oiler fan, you got to be looking at that going, my goodness, what we really got nothing compared to these two former first-round draft picks. Huge additions to the team, and you're exactly right, Ethan. This is one of the reasons the Blues are having such a what at least looks like a pretty big turnaround with this hockey team as they try to go upward after missing the playoffs the last 2 years.
Is there any, shifting gears, let's shift gears uncomfortably, is there any possibility that our ace, I suppose, on the Cardinals pitching staff, Sonny Gray, could perhaps be completely different than he's been in spring training?
Boy, you kind of hope so. I mean, I know he's trying to say the positive things after his start today, but obviously with especially openly admitting that the velocity is down right now, I mean, he's obviously an important cog. I think the last time you and I talked about this, Mark, the last time you had me on the show, was the fact that, my concern was where were you going to be as a pitching staff? And Steven Matz has been a positive as long as he stays healthy. But from the other side, that Sonny Gray is supposed to be your ace. And you just look at the numbers alone of what has transpired during spring training here. It hasn't been positive, and they had to take him out, I think, at the second inning today, and then brought him back in the third because you knew that. He's got the ability to change things, but obviously it's not the spring you would like to have heading into the regular season in less than a week. So all I can say is I'm hoping that things are changing and things that we've seen from Sonny Gray in the past will emerge on opening day coming up next Thursday.
So Frank talked about this in the last hour, and I see some other action on social media today. That Michael McGreevy had a great outing today, one-hit baseball. He's been really, doing well, but he's not necessarily going to be on the opening day roster, right?
No, he's not. It's a numbers game. It's kind of like Victor Scott, who had, 3 or 4 home runs this week, and it's a numbers game where they don't think they can give him enough at-bats, or at least that's what they're saying. Earlier in the week that he probably would start the season down in Memphis, but he's been one of the bright spots from an offensive standpoint. And McGreevy is the same way. He's pitched really well during spring training, but you have everybody that's healthy. Palante looks like he's going to be the 5th starter. I know Ali Marmol, the Cards manager, mentioned earlier this week that, McGreevy might stick with the team. They might have him as like a 6th starter. But as Brad Thompson and I talked about on the show the other night on the other station is the fact that, you have so many days off in the first couple, 2-3 weeks of the season that it almost doesn't make sense to have a 6-man rotation. Maybe somewhere down the line when you have a bunch of games bunched up together, you might have to utilize or you should use a 6-man rotation. So, yeah, between McGreevy and Victor Scott, you got some young guys there that are starting to turn a corner, and you hope that if they wind up not making the 26-man roster, they're still in the right place from a mental aspect if they have to start the season in Memphis. But you know how this goes, Mark. You're going to have injuries in the season. The 26-man roster starts on day one is not going to last very long. So those guys will be up sooner rather than later. But I think they've actually earned the right to make the roster on opening day at Busch.
So you only have, a game tomorrow against the Marlins. I think it's a split squad on Sunday. Then they go to Memphis, and then opening day is Thursday against the Twins. You get the off day with Friday just because, you want to leave that open for the rain out. And then the Twins are here, and then the Angels come in. I bring it up because as I'm looking at that April schedule, not that anything is easy in Major League Baseball, but the month of April looks particularly difficult for the Cardinals. Is it just me? The Phillies, the Red Sox.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, after you go on the road, you got the Red Sox, you got the Phillies. It's going to be a tough road. Obviously, you want to get off to a good start. The Twins are a team that has had success. Maybe you can take 2 or 3 there. Obviously, the Angels are scuffling, so you can take 2 or 3 there. So essentially, you could get off to a great start. And I think that's important. Especially for some of these young guys to get off to a good start. And, guys that are going to get the opportunities, guys like a Jordan Walker, a guy like a Nolan Gorman. Granted, you're going to hit some bumps along the way. But if they get off to a good start, it's especially with young guys in any professional sport or collegiate sports for that matter, it's about confidence. And if these guys get a little bit of confidence, I think that goes a long, long way.
Scotty Warmann, hey, thank you so much for jumping on with us. We'd love to see you in person at one of the fish fries. Maybe we can execute that. Let's go Blues.
Absolutely.
And thank you for at least trying to put my anger and disappointment from Mizzou into perspective.
You're not
I'll do my best.
Mizzou fan. I'm trying to help today, brother. Trust me.
I need therapy. Thank you, Scotty Warmann. We're coming back
All
with
right.
Audio Cut of the Day. We are at Fish Fry Fridays at Assumption Parish in South County.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
On the roads, we still have that accident. Now, this thing is westbound 70, really close to Kings Highway. So if you are traveling in that area, they've had the entire road shut down for a little bit of time here. And that's, of course, causing a delay behind it. Now, westbound 6440, it's just got the usual volume for a Friday. Well, a Friday of spring break. So moderate volume from right around Hampton out through McCausland. But it's slowing again out at Lake St. Louis Boulevard, and that goes out through the 70 split. We've got volume westbound on the Poplar Street Bridge. By the way, it looks like hopefully they have reopened westbound 70. It's imminent. And if you are southbound on 55, things look good out of downtown. Really no issues through there. This report brought to you by Overhead Door of St. Louis. 99 years. That's how long Overhead Door Company of St. Louis has been repairing and replacing garage doors for savvy homeowners. For same-day garage door repair 24/7, call Overhead Door Company of St. Louis or schedule online, overheaddoorstlewis.com, overheaddoorstlewis.com. I'm Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk.
When you have Rhino Shield on your house, it does a couple of things for you. It beautifies the house, and it protects it from the harshest elements. And boy, do we see those here in the greater St. Louis area. You get instant curb appeal. It will stick to anything. Rhino Shield is the answer, no matter whether you're painting a home or a church or a business or a condo, because it's 100% waterproof. It takes care of the outdoor maintenance on whatever is on the outside of your home. The brick, the block, aluminum, steel, stucco. They can put this on with the 2 to 3 coat process. They're there about a week, and they do a great job. A lot of businesses have done it in the area. Several Firestones have done that. Vantage Credit Union over the years, Harlan Packaging down in DeSoto. Call Darren today and schedule your free estimate. 877-25-RHINO, easy to remember phone number, or go online today at 877-25rhino.com.
You know, the best place for comprehensive eye care in the St. Louis area has to be Ophthalmology Associates. We call them the doctors' doctors because more doctors in St. Louis visit with Doctors Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brissati, and Andrew Royer than any others. And they have an amazing location not too far off of Manchester Road near 270. I take very good care of my eyes. I pay attention to them probably more than a lot of you do because I had an eye disease decades ago, and I have a little silicone buckle around my right eye. So I get it checked on an annual basis. Last time I was in with the doctors, they determined I had a little dry eye, and you may have itchy, scratchy eyes. That's real easy to treat. They can help you with that, but they can also help you with modern LASIK, glaucoma issues, cataracts, all of those. They're experts in all of this. They'd love to see you. The number is easy to remember, 314-966-5000. The website, youridoc.com for Ophthalmology Associates.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friends Mark and Neil Gelman from the Gelman team of eXp Realty. Selling your home, every situation is unique. Find the best options that are right for you from the real estate team who offer more options. 314-336-1991. Go to thegelmanteam.com.
The Mark Cox Morning Show.
Mark's back Monday. Let's hope Kentucky wins so we don't have to hear him gripe. At 6:20, Hans von Spakovsky from Heritage on Republicans trying to impeach federal judges blocking Trump.
The Mark Cox Morning Show. Weekdays from 5 to 9.
Okay, hey, Sue, this is on me because I'm very interested in your history of the Louis Sioux this weekend. We should have talked about it more, but give the picture to the audience.
Yeah, it talks about the history of the fire department in St. Louis, and we are the second oldest in the country. You cannot believe how they fought fires in the 1800s. We even have a soundbite, but it's Chief Dennis Jenkerson talking about it.
He's awesome. He used to be my neighbor, by the way, in South City. And when you were telling me about this, I think the story, I never even would have thought about doing a history in the Lewis Sioux on that, but that's
It's
outstanding.
really nuts. They had horse-drawn water, and now he talks about synthetics. Everybody's got synthetic fabrics, and it's changed every way they fight fires because everything is flammable. It's oil.
All right, well, check that out this weekend, and maybe I'll just play half of it next week when you're gone because I'm not happy that you're going to be out. Hey, Carl's back in the studio. Let's do audio cut of the day.
Stand by. Playback ready.
Now, the audio cut of the day.
Okay, I'm a little handicapped here just because I'm not in the studio, but here's the best way maybe I can set this up. Gavin Newsom's out there trying to claim that he never used the phrase Latinx or Latinx. They use it at the LA Times. It is ridiculous that they use that term. Hispanic people hate it, but the LA Times is woke and they want to use it. But here's an interesting moment with Gavin Newsom and CNN and denying this whole use of the word and how it came out.
By the way, not one person ever in my office has ever used the word Latinx.
So can we finally put that to bed?
Yeah,
we agree?
where did that even
No more Latinx, everybody.
Well, I just didn't even know where it came from. I'm like, what are people talking about?
But there was a person who used Latinx. It was actually a really important person. It was him, right?
Yeah, that's right. And look, these aren't minor shifts. These are progressive issues that Gavin Newsom used to champion until fairly recently. And now he's not just walking away from them. He's sort of acting like they were never legitimate with that clip talking about Latinx in the first place. But let's take Latinx. We did find somebody who used it repeatedly in his office. Let's take a listen to this.
I hope we can really paint a picture in terms of our consciousness of how impactful this has been on the Latinx community. The Latinx and Black communities. You've got politicians that are banning not assault rifles, but the word Latinx. They're not even serious.
Yeah, it's interesting when the hypocrisy of Gavin Newsom is continually exposed in bright daylight.
Yep.
And by the way, that was CNN. I give him a little credit on that one. Credit where credit is due. Sue, have a great weekend. Unfortunately, you are off for a few days. When we all get together, I think everyone will be here. Fred will be back from Japan as well, right?
Oh, I can't wait.
All right. Hey, thank you to Carl back in the studio. Matthew and Ethan have done great work out here at our fish fry. And we got number 3 in the books. We're at Queen of All Saints, not too far from here next weekend. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend. See you at Kill Me, too.
Traffic from the 97.1 FM Talk Traffic Center.
Still a couple of issues out there on the roads. One is westbound 70. We had an earlier accident that shut down the interstate really near Kings Highway, and it's still unwinding. We've got eastbound 70 out west, some slow pockets, Forestville through Wentzville. 70 westbound looks okay. It's just a little slow right at Wentzville, and then it opens up. 6440 out west, slowing from about Lake St. Louis Boulevard out through that 70 split. And if you're headed into downtown tonight, there is some volume on the Poplar Street Bridge. Don't forget tonight, starting at 9, crews will shut down northbound 55, really close to Carondelet, River des Peres in that area. They're going to shut it down and put down some pavement on that new bridge. This report is brought to you by Lakeside Renovation and Design. For over 25 years, they've been St. Louis's trusted choice for transforming homes inside and out. Windows, side and kitchens, baths, outdoor spaces. They deliver quality craftsmanship backed by lifetime warranties. Visit lakesiderd.com to start your dream project today. Sue Thomas with traffic, 97.1 FM Talk.
Well, if you're like me and you enjoy wine, especially quality wine, you have to try the delicious wines from Stonehill Winery. This winery, if you've never been there, it's in Hermann, Missouri, so it's local, been around since 1847. Listen to this. Stonehill's Cross J. Norton wine beat out 235 other wines in a Missouri wine competition this year and ended up winning the Governor's Cup. Stonehill is Missouri's oldest and now most awarded winery. The winery itself, this is really cool. It has the largest series of underground vaulted cellars in North America. So what's cool is if you get a chance to go to Hermann, you can stop into Stonehill Winery and take a tour. Really cool. They do all kinds of events there, weddings. Think about how cool that would be. I got to try some of Stonehill's Ozark Hellbender the other night. It's a dry red wine, and it's fantastic. Actually, listen to the description of this wine, okay? Aromas of sweet cherry, blueberry pie smeared with a plum compote and drizzled with cinnamon sticks and toasted oak goodness. You can find Stonehill wines at virtually any retail store here in Missouri. Brought to you by our friends at Lore Wine and Spirits.
I'm William Shatner. I've been around a long time, but I'm truly humbled when I see the real battles our brave, paralyzed veterans have faced defending our freedom. And when they come home,
I had just come home from serving over in Germany. Next thing I know, it was 3 weeks later. I was paralyzed.
While parachuting with my platoon, my parachute didn't open, and I broke my neck. It left me paralyzed for the rest of my life.
I was on a routine patrol, and we were in the desert of Kuwait, and the vehicle flipped and landed on top of me, which left me paralyzed from the waist down.
Okay, folks, this is heroism. That's why I'm proud to support Paralyzed Veterans of America, because they've kept their promise to never leave a fallen soldier behind. A roof over their heads, accessible homes, cars, jobs, benefits.
PVA has brought me back to life.
Show them their sacrifice hasn't been in vain. Go to PVA.org to learn how you can make a difference.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here with a great announcement, especially everybody here at KFTK. St. Louis, I'm coming to you March 22nd at the factory on stage. You're going to love this unscripted affair. It's going to be patriotic, inspirational, motivational. I'll go through all my books, give you the anecdotes inside Fox. We'll go over the news, the war on history, and the comeback of this guy, Donald Trump. Mark Reardon's going to join me on stage. Maybe some surprises in the lineup. But most of all, I want to see you. BrianKilmeade.com. Click on tickets. March 22nd at the factory.
Where the world, the country, and the community meet. 97.1 FM Talk. Right here, right now, every day.